Yo, what's the deal, Panther fans? It's your boy, the professor, a.k.a. Tony Dunn. It's the C3 Panthers podcast, and it's time to hit you with the intro music that I forgot.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers podcast.
It is perfect. We're here every Tuesday nights, 9 p.m. The number's 252-228-5098. That's right. It's the longest running Panthers podcast with the greatest Panther fans. My homeboys hang out with me each and every week as we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. You can follow me on Twitter at @cat_chronicles. And we got a fun show tonight for you. Even though we're waiting for a news drop, more and more info is leaking about the GM search. So we'll be talking about the finalist candidates, the people who are getting second interviews, looking back at Adam Peters specifically, who seems to be the front runner, as well as discussing the Joe Brady coaching circuit that is going on. Atlanta, Houston, the Jets. He's all over the place. It seems like his foot is out the door. And with that being said, we'll have to replace potentially, we're going to add a GM. We're going to get a new offensive coordinator. We've got some other holes to fill on the coaching staff for guys who have taken other jobs this season. And we have to figure out what the Panthers are going to do in this NFL draft. And the Panthers are interested in that as they have agreed to be one of the coaching staff in the Senior Bowl. So go ahead and smash the thumbs up button and get ready for the show. And I'm going to hang out with my boy, Cody Lashney. What's up, my man?
Tony Dunn, listen, man, no matter what, season, no season, playoffs, no playoffs, nothing changes, man. On a Tuesday night, I wanted to be here with Tony Dunn, the Bat Daddy, and Codizzle Allen talking about some Panthers football. And you know what? We're going to do it with the best Panther fans in all of YouTube, like we always do, Tony. And I'm talking about Chuck from Elizabeth City in the house representing Tin Tizzy, Supreme in the motherfucking house, Craig Brown, Brad Holt, Tin Tizzy, Josh Hoy, Joey the Blind Panther Esquivel, ATX19, Tony Dunn. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, baby. Let's roll.
Well, you did that all without your beautiful face showing, so I have showed your face now. They can hear your wonderful voice, and we can probably even bring in CK to the show. My man, the master of streams. Look, my students are all introducing themselves in their introductory form, and I got to tell you, a lot of them are talking about wanting to be in gaming development things, and guess what I say? My boy's the mad streamer. Yo, you got to check him out. Codizzle_Allen on Facebook Live, man. How are you?
Man, I'm living the dream as always. Just excited to be able to watch football and not be stressed out about it, and you know, excited to see what this organization decides to do moving forward. But man, just be continuing to grind and try to grow these channels that I have, and you know, we'll see how it goes. But good to be here with you boys.
Greg is in the podcasting game, my man. The Bat Daddy 52. Welcome back.
Thanks, man. Always a pleasure to be here. You know, I got tomorrow off. The Lakers beating the brakes off H-Town right now, and it's Tuesday night, so I can talk football. So for the last little bit, everything's been coming up Millhouse. But as soon as you get live for the show, my dogs ripped into a pack of Oreos, which I had to get them from. And in doing so, I knocked over my bottle of whiskey and poured almost all of it on my floor. So,
ugh. Well, you know what you got to do is get down there like one of those dogs and lick it up, I think.
Take a shot. You know, I got a steam cleaner. I can soak it up, I suppose. Yeah.
All right. The number's 252-228-5098. Give us a follow on Twitter. Also, be sure to go ahead and subscribe on the YouTube channel. Going to be generating more and more content now that we have, no post game and some different stuff. And a new year brings in a new opportunity for the C3 Panthers podcast to grow, and I want you to do it with us. Subscribe to the podcast. We're like 10 viewers away from hitting 1,800 subscribers on YouTube, which is not a giant number when you think about it in the YouTube world. But when you look at the YouTube analytics for our page, you know what? All of those 1,800 people are watching all the time, it seems like. So the return rate is great, and it's because we all love the Carolina Panthers. Be a part of the conversation, 252-228-5098. All right, guys. The GM search seemingly is starting to narrow. The Panthers have had what you would describe as an exhaustive search. I have interviewed 15 candidates for the job. They have, I believe, I know of 2 second interviews. I think there might be a third candidate that is interviewing a second time. Adam Peters being one of those. The other is a guy by the name of Marnie Orendorf. He's the Titans guy. Hold on. Where the hell did I put the list at? What's the?
I'm looking. I have the list. You put the list in the Twitter DM box.
Okay, that's where I wrote it. And the 2 names, Ossenfort. That's what it is. Peters and Ossenfort are the 2 that I'm certain have had second interviews. Now, Peters coming from San Francisco, one of Cody's highlighted GMs back in that popular segment where he was describing, he identified 5 potential GM candidates that would be better than Marty Herney, and turns out 5 potential candidates we could actually use. I don't know. He comes from San Francisco. He seems to be the favorite in the lead, and I'll tell you the reason why I think that's the case. Number 1, second interview. Number 2, seems to have a lot of credibility among kind of the people that are talking about GMs. Number 3, he is in all of these candidates for the second interview have been player personnel executives. So he has experience with player personnel, not just in scouting, not just in contracts. And then last, and this is the most important, I saw a guy on Twitter, I think it's John Ellis, a popular Twitter news and podcaster guy. He said that Adam Peters was coached by Phil Snow, has ties to Matt Rule, and also I think there was one other connection to that group that he highlighted. I'll track that down. Cody, your thoughts on...
Is it that he shares the same agent as Matt Rule?
Maybe is that...
I think that is it. Okay. I mean, listen, this kind of satisfies a lot of different... it kind of scratches a lot of different itches, right? So we know that Matt Rule wants to hire people that he's been around before, that he's comfortable with. But at the same time, this is a very credible hire. This guy was number 1 or number 2 on my list because of his track record and helping build not only recently the San Francisco 49ers and what they've been able to do, but what he was able to do with the Denver Broncos before that, and the Super Bowl team that beat us. So this is a guy that, like Tony said, he knows how to handle players. To me, it says that he is talented when it comes to recognizing talent, how to maximize that talent, putting them in positions to succeed under your coaching staff, recognizing the right people to put in place in your coaching staff. He's done a lot of tremendous things. I'm really happy about this. If we sign Adam Peters, I mean, this is somebody who comes very highly touted on a lot of different fronts. And we know for a fact that he's someone that we've already interviewed twice now, or that we are going to interview twice. So we did it once and they saw something that they liked about him, and now they're going to have him back. I think all things are pointing towards Adam Peters being our new general manager. And I'm here for it, man. At this point, I'm hoping that we hurry up, because with all the recent news and all the movings, and, you know, we're still kind of waiting for the Joe Brady thing to happen. It feels like it kind of feels like it's a matter of time with all the new spots opening up that need coaches. So a general manager is very important to us, especially as we move into a draft, especially as we're going to be at the Senior Bowl now. As you alluded to, Tony, the Panthers coaching staff and Matt Rule are going to be down in Mobile, Alabama, coaching probably the South team, I'm assuming. And a bunch of premier talent is always down in Mobile. So the fact that the Panthers are going to have a first-round look at a lot of those players, it's exciting. And hopefully we can have a confident GM soon to be able to start to make some of these big-time decisions for us.
There is a strange lead to the story on the Panthers website by Darren Gant. It's published at January 11th at 8:24 p.m. and it says Panthers add 2 more candidates to general manager interview list. Y'all pull this story up and look at it if you want, but this is crazy to me, and I don't understand. Oh, okay. I just misread it. That's it. It's not the 14th. I was like, it's not the 14th and 15th. This is the way it reads. And I thought, man, this guy's saying they interviewed people in the future. It says the team met with Seahawks Vice President of Football Operations Scott Fitterer and Steelers Vice President of Football and Business Administration Omar Khan on Monday, the 14th and 15th names to interview over the past 8 days. The way that's written to me makes my brain go to like Monday, the 14th, and I'm like, hey, so Darren Gant, I'm going to just point that out to you. A little clarity observation there. Fitterer was the final, these 2 final names, but it seems like Peters and the other guy, what did I say his name was? Osenfort?
Something like that, yeah.
And are they bringing in the Seahawks guy as well?
I think they just did for a second interview.
Yeah, for a second. Can we also? It doesn't have to be right now, but I think we also need to acknowledge the Ed Dodds withdrawing from consideration for the GM candidate program.
What do you think that says?
I think at first I thought it said that he was okay and content staying with the Colts because they talked to him, and then he went and interviewed for another GM position elsewhere. So I think it means a couple of things. It means there was something about his interview that he didn't feel would mesh well with Matt Rule or even David Tepper for that matter. Or he just wasn't comfortable giving up as much control to the team to Rule as Tepper was expecting him to possibly. So I think that could be it as well. So honestly, it's a lot of different avenues, but I think, one avenue Cody is going to take is they interviewed and we told them our quarterbacks to the situation and that we didn't have plans of trying to trade up to get a new quarterback. And then he said, yeah, I'm not coming here.
Wow.
That's actually not what I think. And I kind of want to push back on that a little bit, not because you're like outlandishly wrong. Like that certainly could be. But one of the things that I think is that, a lot of times, and, people who know each other, like, okay, if I know that you're going to interview and Tony's going to be the one interviewing you and you and him have a history of working together, I know that Tony's probably going to pick you over me. And I think what we alluded to earlier is that, Matt Rule has this nepotism thing going on where it's like he has the people that he likes, the people that, I think we said that they have the same agent or something like that too. It kind of seems to me on the surface like Dodd knew that, the Panthers have their guy that they're going, not necessarily their guy, but they have a list of guys that they're narrowing in on and honing in on, which is clear, by the way, because we are doing that.
But you're going a step further, right? He withdrew his name from consideration. Like in that instance, I just know that I'm not getting the job and I just continue to interview and I continue to move on. He made a conscious decision to remove himself from any consideration. That goes beyond not thinking he's going to get the job. That goes to something else.
To be fair, we also don't know what his reasoning was. You're right. It does raise a red flag and look like, well, there's something wrong here or something I didn't like. But that may just be something he doesn't like. It doesn't mean there's something wrong. It just may not have meshed well with what he wanted to do.
Yeah. I'm with
so while it can raise a red flag, I don't think it's necessarily the end all be all. Oh, shit, what's going on?
I'm with CK on this though. Is that it seems strange to apply to a job.
Yeah.
Want a to further your career and and decide this is not the team I want to dance with in doing that. And
Didn't you say he had more interviews after that?
Yes, he did.
So what if he got word from somebody that, hey, they're really serious about signing you here, and he would have rather gone there?
I mean, he can't. I mean, he could.
You know,
Why put? It's like counting your eggs before they hatch.
It's
Let's
true.
say he
It's true.
decided to
You're right.
withdraw his position, and then they interviewed somebody else they liked way better than him. All of a sudden, he's sitting there just
You're
still
right.
in the same position.
And if they offered it to you and you declined it, that is pretty cool. Number one,
Right.
it's like, nah, I'm too good. But here, I think I maybe on the flip side of the coin, to kind of lean into what Cody was saying, is, do you withdraw your name if you know you're not going to get hired, to say so that you can't be the one that they said didn't get the job?
Yeah, and also, can we also admit that, when you're in the hiring position, you're kind of doing your due diligence. Like, you're interviewing all these people, trying to get a read and a feel. But, you might interview a guy and just see what he has to say, but you might know that you don't have any real intention of hiring him. Now, he might blow you away and change your mind. But, if Ed Dodd was in a situation where he's like, okay, I can kind of read the tea leaves here. I think they're going to go in a different direction. I have other more reasonable jobs that I'm probably more in line for, and I'm just not going to waste our time, and I'm just going to withdraw myself from this. And
do you walk out of an interview knowing, like, all right, so if you do that, you really got to feel like, I mean, I know that I've never walked out of a place, maybe I've said I think I did a great job or that went well, but I was saying, like, I definitely got it. But I've never also walked out of an interview and it been so weird to where I was like, you know what, I'm not getting this job. Like, I have a feeling, I already know. But here's something to move on from that a little bit, because we are trying to pierce through what that tells us is when you interview 15 people. I don't know if you guys have ever hired somebody, but at my current job, I've worked on several committees where we've hired people, and it's got to be through this formal process because I work for the state and stuff, so there are all of these things you got to go through. You got to put together these, then you got to list your top candidates, all of this. 15 interviews is a lot.
Yeah.
And I tell you this, is by interview 15, I've been in searches where we've interviewed 6 people for a position. And you're thinking back, no matter how good your notes are, no matter how great they were, they start to all blur together a little bit. And I just wonder sometimes, is casting too broad of a net counterproductive, or is it just for show and the back end people are the real interviews? I don't know.
I don't think so, because I look at it kind of like the Academy Awards. Like, when you're a movie, you apply for those positions. And so like, just say Wonder Woman, for instance, applied for 14 different awards. Now, do you think Wonder Woman's going to win 14 awards? No, of course not. But if you got the opportunity to apply for it, you might as well spread that buckshot all around to get your best chance of getting the kill. I feel like in this situation, because you have time. I mean, I know people are you do need to have it done by a certain time, but it's not like it's a 2 or 3 day thing. Like,
I'm saying more from the people who are making the choice, right? Is like, in a way, is that I understand a lot of people are applying, right? Mm-hmm. But what I'm saying is that if I interview 10 candidates as an interviewer, it's difficult for me, and it's you
continue
and to decipher between 10 people. I understand. Yeah, there may be 4 or 5 good candidates.
So it's kind of an odd thing. So that's why the second interview clearly is where we are on the trail, right? Now, when it comes to Peters, is that we have connections to New England, to Denver, and to the 49ers. When it comes to Monty Osenfort, he is wrapping up his first season on the job for the Tennessee Titans, and he has been, before that, he was not a GM. I think he's been in charge. He's been their director of player personnel for the Titans for the past year. And before that, he had been the director of college scouting for the Patriots before making the move to Tennessee. I think this is that when I see Peter's name, Cody, in comparison to that, I see a couple of commonalities. Is there's some deep ties to New England, right? That kind of legacy that even Nick Caserio was a candidate in this. The other thing I see is all of these guys have experience with player personnel like being on the pro side of player personnel. But Peters really has what I believe the superior resume here. And it might not be to you, Cody. I know you like him better, but what I mean by that is Cody has always been more open to the newer, young view, right? And Peters is not old, but he was a scout for like 6 years or something, 7 years.
He's in the NFL 18 years, which blows my mind.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like he passed 45, and I know he didn't start when he was like 20.
Well, he may have actually because he played for UCLA. He was a Bruin at the same time Deshaun Foster was, and I don't know how his career progressed into the NFL. But what I'm trying to get to, Cody, is there's some similarities to these candidates, but the Peters candidacy sticks out because of his more robust resume and experience.
Yeah, and I'm happy about it. Like I said, if you look at what he's done with the Broncos and the 49ers, I mean, these are two teams that have been to the Super Bowl this decade. Mm-hmm. I mean, the guy is clearly proven. I think the only thing that would be a concern, which I don't necessarily know that he's had an opportunity to have a say-so in drafting a quarterback, but that is the one thing that has eluded him thus far. If you wanted to talk about the 49ers bringing in Jimmy Garoppolo, like, okay, whatever. I think Jimmy Garoppolo was the best case scenario for what Teddy Bridgewater could have been, right? Then you look at Denver, and outside of Peyton Manning that they brought in, they haven't been able to really find a true franchise quarterback. Mm-hmm. The reason I don't slight him is because, one, up until recently, John Elway was the general manager up there. So John Elway had pretty much final say on all of that stuff. So I don't necessarily look at it as like, oh, he doesn't know how to evaluate on a quarterback, or he missed Mahomes or Watson or whatever. I also look at it as us picking in the top 10. It's us. It provides us an opportunity for him to show himself off in evaluating quarterback talent, because now he has an opportunity to kind of come in here and really cement his legacy in the in his first year as a general manager for the Panthers, should he receive the job, because he's going to have to come in and fix a broken quarterback situation with a team that doesn't have a lot of cash on hand too. And I think that's where the ties come in too. Like, let's just be real. The Panthers aren't the best job opening right now. I mean, we just aren't. We don't have as much money as the Jets or the Jaguars, or there are other teams out there that have far more of a surplus and a better draft pick than we do. And some of them have quarterbacks already. Mm-hmm. So the fact that he already has an entry level with Matt Rule, knowing him, knowing Phil Snow, the fact that he's excited to want to take this job. I mean, I'm loving this right now. I think this is the best possible scenario for the Panthers to go down.
I think Peters is the guy, and this is why is in the chat room. I want to highlight out Count Dooku. How do you spell Count Dooku for Star
Wars?
That's D-O-K-U or D-O-K-U or D-U-K-O-O. D-U-K-O-O.
Okay, so it's Deku. This is different.
But that's not him, though. He's talking about an anime character.
Okay. Right. Okay. Well, good. I don't know about either of those, so don't want to screw it up. That's why I asked. Count Deku says that he read somewhere, and I read this too, so I was trying to get to it. I could not recall it. He said, I think I read somewhere that Matt Rule was a coach at UCLA when Peters was a player there.
He was.
So really, we've got the ties to the defensive staff and Snow. Like, he's going to come in. What I would say is that he's worked with those guys before, and if they feel good about him, that relationship component, which we know is going to be key in this position, because Matt Rule is arguably the guy that's going to be paid more, right? That's important. And then Dave in the chat room also brought this up in my too many candidates discussion. It's an interesting comment right here. He said there's potential the Panthers could also glean ideas or thoughts from the candidates as they're interviewing.
True. Apparently, this happens all the
It's
time.
like espionage.
Yeah, but like okay, so for example, if we're gonna interview Jeff Ireland, like even if we never had the intention of hiring him, like it's weirdly kind of an inside look at what other people in the New Orleans Saints think about your football team. Like, okay, if we were to hire you, so what do you think about this roster? What do you think we need to do? What do you think we need to build? And know that whatever he says, inevitably other people at the organization that he comes from feel the same way. So yeah, in a sense, you are kind of getting like an undercover look at what your opponents think about your organization. So yeah, I definitely think there's some truth to that for sure.
Is anybody disappointed that we're not bringing in the Bills assistant GM in? Like, we interviewed him, but they haven't announced a second interview for him.
And to add to that disappointment, Dan Morgan was not interviewed.
Wasn't even interviewed once.
But I never hear his name. I
don't either. I think that's a fan. That's a fan casting.
Yeah,
right
that
there.
might. Might, and that might be true as well. Like I look at that and I sit there and I think he would be coming from an organization that is willing to make moves to make this organization better, right? The Bills made a move to get Stephon Diggs. The Bills have made moves to do what they need to do to build a football team. They haven't sat by and just waited for things to fall their way. They went and got what they needed. They traded up for Josh Allen. Even though at the time, it didn't seem like a great move, they made those moves. Right now, as an organization, if our goal is to win, wouldn't you want to get somebody from a team, an organization that's known to be aggressive about what they want to do in team building? Like, that's what I'm disappointed about.
There's more to it, though, than just being aggressive. You got to be aggressive and accurate, because I've seen teams move up for quarterbacks, too, like Josh Rosen, stuff like that. Well, I guess nobody moved up for Josh Rosen, did it? He just fell back.
Yeah,
either way, you got to have the
Trubisky would be your
able to get. Yeah, Trubisky is a great example. Yeah, I don't think Trubisky was the number one pick. Was he number one or number two?
Yeah, he was number one.
He definitely was number one.
No, he was number two pick behind Myles Garrett.
Okay. Hey, can I point out something real quick before we get off this about Adam Peters? We're talking about him being with the Broncos and the Patriots. Do you know, this is very weird with the Panthers, that he was part of the he spent the season with the Patriots as a scout team member that helped build the 2004 3 and 4 championships, which, by the way, beat Carolina.
So what? He has beaten us twice.
And he was with Denver, and he put 27 players through the draft that the Broncos drafted to build the Super Bowl 50 championship that beat us.
Oh,
so that's kind of crazy. He's beat us twice at both our Super Bowls.
What
it's like destiny.
It's destiny. Yeah. There's too many connections here, right? And I think the final thing that I think is kind of going is the commonality between Peters and Ossenfort. So these finalists, it's almost like, what are the traits that they want, right? And I think Peters exhibits this the most, is that he's been involved in scouting directly, and not just for a moment. He didn't just dip his toe in it, but it's been he's had significant development professionally in that. Like you said, he joined the Broncos after spending 6 years with the Patriots. He was with the Patriots from 2003 to 2008 as a scouting assistant. In 2005, he moved up within New England's organization to handle pro scouting duties for the team. And then he moved on to the Broncos. And actually, let's do something here. Let's deep dive into the draft history here. So let's start with the most recent drafts that Cody said, all right, I guess if there's anything to point out, he hasn't been a part of an organization that's drafted a quarterback yet. Right. Like, I guess we could, but you can't look, is Jimmy Garoppolo, he started in 2017 and also Garoppolo was that trade was the same year. So it's not, he can only have had, it would be hard to think that as the player personnel guy, all of a sudden he was the main orchestrator behind that. And to be fair, it wasn't the worst thing for the 49ers. They didn't have a quarterback. They were having problems. Well, or at least they chose to have problems by not having Colin Kaepernick or continuing with that. And it seemed like Garoppolo won something like 13 straight as a starter. But if we look to the draft over the last 3 years, I think there's some things is that you'll see is like anybody, the San Francisco 49ers have had some mixed results in their drafts, like every team. But the other thing about these drafts is they've had a lot of first round. He has had a lot of first round picks. So this is it's like a good job to have. So his first year and he might have been even hired after this. If you think about it, the draft is early in 2017. So the question, was he on the staff that drafted Solomon Thomas, first round pick, number 3 overall? Here's a big one who was good for a moment, Reuben Foster.
Didn't he?
Yeah, well, he got screwed by Twitter outrage, by false outrage, where his girlfriend ended up making false accusations about him and domestic violence at a time where domestic violence was really a focal point of the NFL, or at least more relevant in 2017, because 2016 I think was around the years maybe it was even before that, but the 49ers,
it was right before the Me Too movement really fucking blew up.
Yeah, the 49ers came out aggressively and just said, we're cutting them, or they suspended him. I can't remember, but it turned out the girl ended up saying she made it up. He then had an injury problem when he came back. So he was playing good, then he got injured, and then he got he was traded to the Washington football team at some point.
Linebacker, yep.
And again was playing very well there until injury ruined his career. But if you think about these picks, Solomon Thomas, great player. You can't lose on that one, a number 3 pick. Reuben Foster, good pick at the time, but there were character concerns at the time. A lot of people said give John Lynch credit for this. Akello Witherspoon, I don't know him. C.J. Beathard, backup quarterback at 104, similar to a Will Greer, but far more successful.
But a guy that they have had to depend on and they have won with. So
solid backup quarterback.
After we're done with this, I want to make a parallel and maybe ask you guys if maybe I'm reading too deep into these GM candidates and what that means for us.
Okay. The next pick, Joe Williams, 4th round pick, running back, does not look like he panned out, which is okay. George Kittle, 5th round.
Pretty damn good.
I tell you this.
5th round?
Yes, and this is why more evidence that you do not draft tight ends in the first round. You don't do it. It's first of all, there are only 3 tight ends in the league that you will point out, maybe 4 that are, if you redrafted, are first round worthy. And I bet you none of them went in the first round. I bet you or maybe not even. I bet you 70% of them did not. 80% did not come. George Kittle, Kelsey, right? The cat from Las Vegas, and that's it. Who else would you say? Is there another tight end that in the league right now that's first round?
Zach Ertz is decent, but
okay. He might have been a first rounder, but anyway, we'll save that argument. So that's a good draft, though. Right? You hit on Thomas, Foster, Kittle. Some other names up here that don't look to have been all that big of a deal. Next was the 2018 draft, Mike McGlinchey.
Who is a starting, I believe is the right tackle for them.
Okay.
But a starter.
Dante Pettis, Fred Warner, Tavarius Moore, Kendavius Street, DJ Reed, Marcel Harris, Julian Taylor, Richie James. That does not look like a good draft.
No. So that just shows that you don't know those names that you just said.
Pettis and McGlinchey are the only ones I know, I think.
Fred Warner is one of the best middle linebackers in the NFL right now.
Oh, DJ Reed's pretty good, isn't he?
Yeah, and dude, Fred Warner is legitimately a freaking baller, dude. Like that guy is insane. Like that guy is a really good middle linebacker. And he's like one of the linchpins of their defense.
Okay, so we'll say a good draft then. A very good draft, it sounds like. Could you get a tackle? Pettis has not been particular. Wait, what? Does not look like Pettis has. Well, he's had 652 yards and 8 touchdowns throughout his career. Or is that just that year? It's a good question. Look up his stats. Next year. This is a good one right here. And the good one, the next year, but this is what happens when you pick number 2 overall. Nick Bosa.
Yep.
But here's a giant one right here. This guy's a beast of a player. Debo Samuel.
Mm-hmm.
Been great for him.
Jalen
South
Hurd.
Carolina.
I feel like Jalen Hurd is okay. I don't know. What do I know about him?
Yeah,
Where
I've
is he
definitely
at?
heard that name a bunch before.
Maybe not. Let's see. Does he have any stats? I don't even know if he has a stat. That's overview. I want his stats, man. Yeah, I don't know. That might not be good.
So, I mean, that's still not bad. 2 hits out of 3 so far. I mean, on the same draft.
How about this is a punter at 110, Mitch Wishnowski. Linebacker Dre Greenlaw, Caden Smith, Justin School, Tim Harris. Not familiar with many of those.
Greenlaw, I am familiar with Dre Greenlaw. That's another guy that starts and plays meaningful snaps for them.
He's played in 29 games throughout his career. It looks like
in 2 seasons, yeah.
So far.
Oh, this is good here. Oh, this is interesting because I just found the game stat. All right, so like how many games without having to pull up each player individually. From the 2018 draft, you had 3 players, 4 players that have 5 players who have played 40 games. It's interesting. That's good. That's a good stat.
Dude. I mean, you're trying to draft players that are gonna play football for you. Yeah, that is very good.
How about Justin?
Like that.
Have you heard of? You know what? I'm gonna look it up. Justin School, tackle, Squle. So all right. So we got 2 good drafts, decent to very good, right? Better than average, but with some advantages of having some high picks. Let's put it that way. And then the most recent draft, 14th pick, Javon Kinlaw. Second, number 25 overall pick. So they had 2 first-round picks. Brandon Ayuk, who really turned it on, it seems like, towards the end of this, or was thrust into a big role. Colton McKivitz, Charlie Warner, and Juan Jennings. You know what I like about his draft so far is he has picked a tackle, or that he's been involved in. There's been a tackle in every draft.
Yeah, they bolster that offensive line. And by the way, so again, we don't know, if this was John Lynch or Adam Peters, but I want to, tune you into the stroke of genius. They knew that they were going to have to pay either Teron Armstead or DeForest Buckner. They traded DeForest Buckner and got the Colts first-round pick. DeForest Buckner has been incredible for Indianapolis this year. They instantly replaced him with a younger, just as talented defensive tackle prospect in Javon Kinlaw, and then turned their other first-round pick into Brandon Ayuk, who was incredible for them this year. That is navigating the draft. It's knowing what's valuable to you, what's valuable to other players, what's valuable to your cap space moving forward. Like, that's all good moves. That's all good moves. And if Adam Peters is in any way adept at doing this, exactly this, man, I hope that he's the guy. Like, I hope that we're talking about him being our general manager soon.
This has to be active. It cannot be how many games they've actually played in. Maybe it is, or active. There's no way, because I just pulled up Carolina's history, like on the same page. There's no way. It has Jermaine Carter Jr. listed for 48.
You got to remember special teams, and even if you're just a backup for one play, they're getting
Yeah.
credit for playing the
Okay.
entire
That's
game.
true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So
Hey,
listen there's one player who has exceeded all of these numbers on the Carolina Panthers in games played since 2017. There's not one player out of the draft for the San Francisco 49ers. Let me just double check this number and make sure I don't screw it up. There is nobody for any of these teams. Only one player has got higher than 60 games in him, and he is on the Carolina Panthers, and he was drafted in 2017. Any thoughts?
2017 was before Hurney, correct? Hurney
This
came
would
back in
be
18. That was his
Christian
first draft.
McCaffrey draft.
Yes.
Curtis Samuel.
Wrong. 53,
John
close. By the way, Curtis Samuel's played in more games than Christian McCaffrey.
Wait,
Crazy.
wait. Can you ask the question one more time? What exactly?
Yeah, I misunderstood the question.
All right,
too.
so we looked at the drafts for the San Francisco 49ers from 2017, 18, 19, and 20. Right? We looked at those drafts since Peters was involved. One of the things we highlighted was that several players had played more than 40 games. So that's a good thing, right? Yeah. So I flipped over to the Panthers page to see how many what our stats look like it, and we're not as bad as you would think. But there's one player since 2017 who has played that was drafted by the team, who has played in over 60 games. He is not. That's something.
Oh, Taylor Moton?
Yes, it is Taylor Moton, who is coming up for a contract. He has been talk about availability being your greatest ability at times.
He wants $15 million a year, bro. Oh my God.
Can't wait to see. I cannot wait to see the reactions if this new GM does not sign him. I cannot wait to see it. Oh my goodness, great! Because that's a huge complaint people have on Hurney's. He wouldn't resign Moton. I can't wait to see if the new GM comes in. And
Still,
doesn't resign Moton.
other than that, you have a couple of players. There's Curtis Samuel has 53 games. Christian McCaffrey 51.
Wow,
Jermaine Carter and Ian Thomas are at 48. Dante Jackson is at 43 games. DJ Moore at 46. Brian Burns.
This is why Mario Hurney set us back. Why the best player on our team over the past few years, and you're not going to sign that player over all the other dumbasses you signed. Like, it's just so ridiculous to me.
I'll give you that. It's a reason.
All the stats that he puts up. And by the way, I saw CK put his head in his hands when he was talking about 15 million. Yeah, it's the exact other end of the conversation that was been happening. And no, Josh, I promise we're not going to rehash the Christian McCaffrey debate. But a right tackle like that, that's the kind of person you pay that money to. That's what they go for. It's the most important thing that you have to do is to be able to protect your quarterback and run the football effectively. And Taylor Moton allows us to do all of that. Like, yeah, those are the guys that you pay. They're important. And the fact that Mario Hurney didn't do it, now it's going to be even more expensive. If we franchise tag Taylor Moton, he is not going to be a Carolina Panther after the 2021 season.
What would you say Taylor Moton's rank is for his position in the NFL?
Like,
according to who, man?
According to you, what would you say his rank
nice.
Is?
He's got to be top 10.
Wait,
at right tackle. Oh, I'll pull it up. I'll pull up the right tackle.
At right tackle, I don't think that I can name. I think it's easily a top 5. I think if I were to comb over rosters, maybe I find some other guys here or there. But dude, Taylor Moton has been a badass for us. An absolute badass.
So here's the top 5. The number 5, Lel Collins for Dallas, 10 million. Juwan James for Denver, the 4th, 12.75. Jake Conklin, 14. Trenton Brown, 16.5, and Lane Johnson, 18. So only the top tier players in this position are making that kind of money. Now, I'm not saying I don't know where to put him at.
I think he's in that list. I think,
on
man,
that list?
I would say this is that Mitchell Schwartz is a little low. Like, he's not getting
15
compensated what he wants. I would say that
15 would be a third
15
highest.
would not be absurd. But the question is this, Cody, would you compare well, I wouldn't. I would find. I mean, I know that's a lot, but you're right. Is that's a right tackle money? I was trying to see how old he is. He's only 26.
Yeah. I mean, he was just drafted in 2017. So
in his prime, strong, hasn't missed a snap, has been
it's a very good argument. Yeah.
Since
Very good argument.
2017. Tony has said it. There has not been a player more dependable than Taylor Moton. And by the way, Taylor Moton hasn't gone up against some of the best pass rushers in the NFL and held his own, dude.
Yeah.
And held his own. So, yeah, listen, is it going to be steep? Yeah, but if it's in that $14 to $17 million a year, fuck it, dude. We have no other offensive linemen.
At some point, you have to actually invest in positions.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And that investment comes in two ways. It comes in drafting and in signing the contracts. So even if you re-sign Moton, you need to be drafting the next Moton.
Yeah.
And then you need to be willing to, particularly in a year where the Panthers may not be getting their quarterback. Right? I mean, it's just at this point, it may not happen. But if you're going to go through another year of Teddy Bridgewater and whatever this Carolina Panthers stuff is, maybe you roll with you sign him and trade later on in a year or two. If you got a guy that is in the replacement category. Interesting stuff. I think the all signs are pointing towards Adam Peters. There's too many connections.
Right.
Can I tell you my concerns now?
Oh, yes.
About
good.
Peters and Tennessee and what we see with these two teams. These are basically we've finalized it to two people that come from teams that have built teams that don't require elite quarterbacks. So and they've been Super Bowl caliber teams. Now, much to Cody's chagrin, I don't think that's great for us because we don't want to continue to have mediocre quarterback play.
Say it again. So Peters is coming from a place, all right,
from San Francisco that has clearly they signed Garoppolo, who is not an elite QB, who is not going to be the one to beat to take your team to victory. He is going to be basically what we hoped Bridgewater was going to be, right? Mm-hmm. And then you have Tannehill, which luckily they came into Tannehill in a up year coming out of Miami. But all in all, he is not an elite level quarterback.
No,
he
I
is
agree.
not.
And you could even say Peyton Manning in his old age with Denver too.
Yeah,
he was not an elite quarterback.
And so what you find is these guys are coming from organizations that are building teams that don't require that we put too much value on the quarterback position.
Or he's learning that that's the missing piece on those teams. Or part of the missing piece.
That's another piece to it. I mean, maybe they're seeing that because they didn't make it there. They're Super Bowl caliber teams. And honestly, some may argue that if they had that quarterback, they could have gone over the top. But they are clearly teams that are based off of run first and defense being something you rely on heavily. Both of those squads.
Yeah. But listen, imagine if you were GM. You have to think if you're applying for these jobs, the ultimate feather in your cap would have to be being able to say that you drafted the next superstar quarterback, right? Like if you, let's say we draft Zach Wilson and he just balls out and just is absolutely incredible. Like even if you have a history of building a team a certain way, to be able to say that you were the guy that pulled the trigger on the all-star quarterback, like, I got to think no matter what your philosophy is on how to build a team, like that's every general manager's dream. I find it hard to believe that we're just going to get some guy that's like, quarterback, we could make it work with whatever and just build the team around it. Maybe they have that mindset.
No, I don't think they're going to be like that. I think sometimes you have to work within the means you're given. So, for instance, Tannehill was an acquisition that was a cheap addition as a backup quarterback to Mariota, and this guy wasn't even involved with that at the time, right? I guess the bigger concern would be the Titans extending Tannehill after last year and to such a, I guess, friendly deal for him. The other is that the 49ers, the Jimmy Garoppolo trade was not a bad concept, right?
No.
Is that first of all, his value was overinflated, but that's that's the whole point, right? If you are showcasing a quarterback, like trying to do that, like kind of like what the Steelers have tried to do, the Patriots have done it best. It doesn't happen often, right? That's why I don't even like the idea of drafting a quarterback in the mid rounds and acting like all of a sudden he's going to show out for a couple of games. You can get some trade value. Like, it happens so far few in between. So, but Garoppolo had always maintained this air. Somehow, Bill Belichick had used him to leverage against Tom Brady, it felt like, right?
Yeah.
And keeping
master chess player with Garoppolo, how he handled Garoppolo. Basically overvaluing him so that other people were going to try to trade for him for a much higher price than what should have been traded, like what he was actually worth.
Other than the injury history, they were kind of right.
That's what I'm trying to say is that it was a win now kind of, not win now, but like we can get better fast, very fast or quickly. Right. So yes, that's what I'm saying. I don't think, what I'm saying is this, is I don't think because they did that does not mean that they didn't want to be the guy that drafted the next quarterback. But I don't think it's entirely like a guy's going to be like, well, if I don't get to do this, we're not going to be able to win. Right? Is that there's got to be something else to it. So interesting kind of, again, the scouting history now coming from these teams that have done a lot with a quarterback arguably comparative to Teddy Bridgewater. So
like the problem is that they're right now, our number one priority out of a GM is getting our next franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
But it might not happen this year. It might not happen this year. In fact, let's go ahead and turn the discussion to that. We will get to.
They're valuing two top GMs that have not yet actually gotten a true franchise quarterback.
And Peters has been on a squad that has not been able to get it right either with the Broncos.
I want to throw it to Greg, but before we do, there's 84 people watching, 38 thumbs up. Come on. Like I said, you have more fun watching us bullshit about the Panthers than you did watching them lose all fucking year. Hit the thumbs up. Act like you got some sense. We love doing it. You love listening to it. Greg, continue on about your saying.
All right. I've been trying to say this for a minute because this goes way back to what we were saying before with the Kinlaw stuff. And Cody, you were talking about getting rid of Forrest Buckner and replacing him with Kinlaw and how great of a move that was. And you're right.
Yeah.
That was a great move.
Yeah.
Also very lucky. Nobody expected Kinlaw to drop to 14th. Right? He was projected to be a top 10 pick easy, right? Maybe a top 5, 6.
A lot of people had Derek Brown.
I hear you. I'm just saying there's always luck involved with that too, because the fact that Kinlaw fell to them at 14 was amazing. And two, you're right that a GM does want to be the guy who signed the quarterback, but it doesn't matter if you have the first or second draft pick or a top 3 draft pick and you draft one of the top 2 guys coming out of that college. You want to be the guy who drafted a Patrick Mahomes or a Tom Brady or somebody like that. Comes out
that's even cooler. That's even cooler.
If you're the quarterback that drafted Peyton Manning, cool. You drafted Peyton Manning, but everybody knew Peyton Manning was going to be amazing.
Yeah. I mean, that's a reasonable point.
It's going to be amazing.
But that's what I say with Marty Hurley and Cam Newton.
Yeah.
No. You still get the credit for doing it, but that doesn't mean it's something you can go down and say, well, I'm the guy who did this and that's what makes me famous. No, because he could have gone a different direction. He could have drafted somebody else. He still did it. So you get the credit for doing it, but you can't like tout that and be like, oh, I'm the guy that had the number 1 pick and did that. Now, if you didn't move down to get the number 1 pick and did that, then you can tout about that. And look at the moves I made. This guy fell in your lap. You did the right thing by drafting him. It's just like Kinlaw, but he fell in your lap, you know?
Well, but even still, they moved up for Patrick Mahomes. So they
Exactly.
they
That's what I'm saying. They moved up for Patrick Mahomes. That's why that's so much better of an example.
right.
You want to
Right.
be the guy
Then
pick out
being
Mahomes, you know?
then drafting Sam Darnold or draft, like the
Ooh,
worst
I have an
the worst
interesting
thing you could do would be to draft like Jared Goff and trade for that, or for Blake Bortles. Mad shout out to Robbie Switzer, longtime supporter of the show. $4.99 super chat. He says, hope you guys are doing well, and everyone hit that thumbs up button. And I was going to turn the discussion. Actually, I'll tease it. We're going to talk a little bit about the quarterback rankings a little later. Cody, Fields stock rise or fall last night? Or stay pat?
I think it's about the same. I really do. I think it's probably going to be a race between him and Zach Wilson for the number 2.
Ooh, you think he could be the number 2?
Fields. Or Zach Wilson?
Fields.
Well,
I feel like he
Fields
has slipped out of the number 2 conversation over the last month. Tried to creep back in at with this last game over Clemson. But is that enough if he had won the game last night? Or I didn't watch it. I'm telling you, I went to bed at this point. You know what I'm saying? I had some
team last night.
Basically
an NFL team.
True, true. So
he did make some good throws.
Yeah.
Listen, this is a lot of just me just being honest. I have real concerns about his body being able to hold up to an NFL schedule.
Right.
In his senior year in high school and in 2 years at Ohio State, he has maintained injuries that have hampered his performances to some degree in the playoffs. So, I kind of have that belief. If you have an injury history in college, it probably isn't going to go away by the time you go pro. Again, the talent is all there. He's incredibly talented. It's possible that he could fall a little bit. I don't think it would be out of the top 5.
All right, here is the rest of the show, guys. Well, we got a lot more to go in the show. I've changed my direction 3 times now in the last 40 seconds. Good comment by Brad Holt in the chat room that says, looks like Bieniemy is getting passed over again. So just a little bit later in the show, we're going to talk about the Joe Brady coaching circuit. But let's go ahead and jump into a cat call real quick and knock a few of those out to see if you guys lead us in what direction you want to lead us.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
Hey, Tony, CK, guys, how you doing? You too, Cody. Anyway, this is Chuck calling from Elizabeth City. I guess I got a 2-part question. Part number 1, looking at this draft, and we have 6 draft picks. And I know you have more than 6 holes to fill. I talked about trading down where we can accumulate a couple more picks. But I want to focus on what can we do? What do you guys think we can do? I know Gettleman was big on double dipping, and I've even seen Honey where he double dipped before, taking 2 defensive linemen in the cam drafts, like in the 2nd, 3rd round that were total bust. But where areas would you double dip? Particularly like in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th rounds, where would you take 2 positions? Me myself, I'd love to have an offensive tackle in a center, or offensive tackle and a guard, or maybe even going the route of 2 corners or a corner and a safety, looking at defensive backs. Just kind of getting your idea. What do you think your the 3 most critical positions of need are? I think offensive line, definitely secondary. To me, even a linebacker, I know we're going to throw out quarterback. I just don't see it happening unless we mortgage the farm or somebody falls drastically. My second part question is, being that it's kind of hinges on the draft, what are the 3 positions do you think that we'll go after in free agency? I know if Zach Parsons is there and we don't have a quarterback to take, it's very tempting to take it, pick number 8. But I think maybe in free agency we really need to look at getting a wide receiver if we lose Curtis Samuel. Maybe even picking up getting a linebacker. And if I had to pick a third position that we could take in free agency, maybe we could come across and get us an offensive guard. But that's just my take on it, what we do. Really want to look at things. This general manager's search is kind of up in the air, too. I know that's something kind of want to focus on and look at, and I'm hoping to make some noise. It's been kind of quiet. I'm kind of hoping for Peters now since Dodds is out. All right. Thanks, guys, for taking the call.
Chuck from Elizabeth City, man. Happy to hear you. Great question. Listen, I really love the draft because I feel like every year it's a different story. Like each draft class is unique in and of it, is unique in and of itself. And certain positions are deeper other years than they are, other years. So, for example, this year is a really good offensive line and wide receiver draft. And I'll be damned if that isn't what the doctor ordered for the Carolina Panthers. So, yeah, listen, I would love to double dip on offensive line. I think all of us would probably, to some degree, say that we would hope and wish that the Panthers double dip on the offensive line. Like, how many times have me and Tony said that we don't invest in premium offensive line picks, and it's finally caught up to us. The fact that we have one good offensive lineman that we can, rest assured is dependable, and that's Taylor Moton. And we don't even know if we're going to pay that guy because he's so expensive now. So,
I think he's all right. Let's look at the tackles coming up in free. I agree with you, Cody, about the double dip. Is that first of all, we're going to have to. I wouldn't be surprised if we double dipped in the secondary and the offensive line. In fact, not only would I would be disappointed if we don't. Right, is that at this point we have too many question marks when it comes to the offensive line, and that even includes if and hopefully when we sign Taylor Moton. Right? Like even if we sign Taylor Moton, we still need to double dip. And to be honest, it needs to be in like the first and the third or the second and the third, to where you get some talent that you are pretty confident is going to be contributing. When it comes to free agents, this is where the hard part is that if we don't want to pay Taylor Moton, who do we want to pay? And I got to tell you, this is when you look at the list of tackles, offensive linemen that are coming up for free agency right now, I don't want nothing to do with half of these guys. How about Kevin Beachum from Arizona, John Wetzel from Atlanta, Matt Gano from Atlanta, no, DJ Fluker from Baltimore. Might be interest in there. Darrell Williams, who, by the way, is trying to save the game.
Yeah, for the Buffalo Bills. You saw him dive on that fumble, right?
Yeah.
Dude, Darrell Williams. I think they have him at guard, by the way, for what it's worth.
Okay.
Which is a good idea.
Yes.
I think we should do the same thing with Greg Little.
Moton is the Okung. There's really no Jason Peters from Philadelphia. Like, this is going to be too expensive, too old. So, like, some of these guys are just, a lot of these dudes are just recycled talents, right? So, I think that Moton is not only deserving of being re-signed, but kind of imperative. I think another place that you look in free agency, guys, is tight end. That is where I'd like to see us do something like the Saints do. The Saints just bring in the next bump, the regular dude who's going to have a pretty good year, from Watson to whoever they have each and every year.
From Graham, gosh, who else? They've had a tremendous amount, and they even put Taysom Hill in there sometimes as the tight end position. I mean, they value the, and let's even take a look at. I know our offense is different, but look at the Baltimore Ravens. They use so many tight ends in their offense. It's unbelievable. And not a single one of them are like all-star tight ends, but they all seem to be doing something that are putting them in a position. Greg, I think you might be muted. I'm not hearing you.
The problem is finding somebody who is
That's
going
why
to.
y'all can't hear me. I was like, oh, they're ignoring me.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
we
like
couldn't
it,
hear
but-
you. The hard part though was finding that guy in free agency. Any of these names, one of these, by the way, is never going to get a job, and this is another example of the false hope that comes along with tight ends in the early rounds. Jake Butt was supposed to be a great tight end. He turned out to have injuries and ultimately be but sorry, I could not resist.
Hey, real quick, I'm on
Jeremy
PFF
Sprinkle's
right
the
now.
name.
I'm looking at what you were talking about, Tony, and there's actually now Brandon Sheriff is scheduled to be a free agent, but he'll probably get re-signed. And who's the other guy? Trent Williams is also, his contract's up. He could be a free agent, but I take either one of those guys if they didn't get signed.
Yeah.
But I wanted to point out that on PFF that Taylor Moton is the 13th overall free agent that they've ranked in the NFL position, like getting position, just 13th overall. And the projection is that Carolina signs Moton for 5 years, $82.5 million, 16.5 year with $45 million due at signing, $30 million guaranteed.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I got no problem with that.
That's the prediction. So,
and it needs to happen now.
16.5 is higher than that 15 million that he's asking.
I have zero problems paying Taylor Moton that kind of money.
Right.
I agree. I agree. He's proven himself. I agree.
We definitely need to not, like, if we let him walk, we're letting too many holes open up for this offensive line. Like, honestly, that's just the reality of it. It is absolutely too many spots that we would have to fill, and it would be next to impossible to be able to actually do that and have a good offensive line.
Who was the guard that we let walk to Jacksonville?
Norwell. Norwell, yeah. Trey Turner, yeah.
I want to see, because Greg Van Roten got like $10 million to go to the Jets last year at guard. So to me, is that if you're going to pay just a pretty good guard, right? And let me look up Andrew Norwell, who was a top flight guard at the time. Like, he was the most celebrated.
I still maintain that we shouldn't have let him go. I think it was a perfect situation here.
It was too expensive, and we were already in cap hell.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a guard. Like, if
what, to protect your quarterback?
Dude,
well, we had just paid Trey Turner. Like, we physically just couldn't.
There was it was either Turner or Norwell, and I think we made the right choice. As you can tell, Norwell is gone, and he is not.
Look at this. This was Norwell's contract. Was $66 million with $30 million guaranteed, 5 years. Receives a $15 million signing bonus, and his 2018 and 2019 base salaries are fully guaranteed. To be honest, he might be. They could free up $9 million. They would still have $6 million in cap space, $6 million in dead money to get Norwell. But I think this is that. All right, Cody, I agree. But we did pay Trey Turner. But if you're going to make the argument, you don't build an offense around just like a running back because they're replaceable. A similar argument could be made for guards because it's easier for players who played tackle and different things in college who can't play tackle in the NFL to be guards. Right? Yeah. Which I think supports the argument for Moton the most, which is it's hard to find a tackle right or left, period, in the NFL. It's hard to get a tackle who is available right or left in the NFL. The tackle position is the harder and more premium position to fill. So if I had the choice between, like, for instance, signing, say Norwell was on this team and Moton, and they were both hitting free agency, I would still say if it costs $3 million more a year to sign Moton, it's worth it.
Yeah. Hey, can I also point out here on PFF that the Leonard Williams, the defensive interior lineman for the Giants, is ranked 20th, and he is projected to be signed by the Panthers for 4 years, $80 million, $20 million a year, 47.5 total, $32.5 million fully guaranteed signing.
Part
That's
ways
the
with
protection.
KK Short and sign Leonard Williams would be
And have Brian Burge and Grossman Post on the other side. That's.
I don't think that. Yeah, it'd be interesting. I don't think that. I don't think that Dave Gettleman would let him go out of New York. But I wanted to touch on what Tony said. Like Tony, you're saying if you have to pick between a right tackle and a guard, I hear what you're saying, and it is harder to find a top flight tackle than it is a guard. But what I will argue is that, especially in today's NFL, and I've been saying this for a few years, if you remember, nothing is more important than the interior of the offensive and defensive line. So if you look at all these defensive tackles that are coming out now we have Derek Brown. You have guys like Javon Kinlaw and Dexter Lawrence and DeForest Buckner and Aaron Donald, of all people, these monsters in the middle. Your guards and your center, they provide your pocket for your quarterback. Like, quarterbacks are so mobile now that it's almost easier for them to evade an edge rusher than it is for them to have a free rusher screaming right at them, right in front of them. So I would say, as the NFL continues to be a pass happy, points on the board type of league, then it's really important to protect your offensive interior. And my last point is I think that's when Cam Newton was at his best, was when it was Andrew Norwell, Ryan Khalil, and Trey Turner. They gave him enough time to be able to.
But what did we bitch about the whole time? No, what did we bitch about the whole fucking time?
Say it.
Left tackle the whole time. It was like, oh yeah, we've got this great fucking guard in Trey Turner. We got Matt Khalil, who has this crazy neck issue that's becoming problematic. All right, but then you have that centerpiece. But you know what? Is our tackle positions have ruined all of our hopes. In the very end of the day, is that guards are more replaceable. And just like you say, running backs are more replaceable. Guards are. There's a reason why Peters and all of these guys. Look, our best success was when we had an answer on the outside, and I don't think it's because the interior line is unimportant. I don't think it's that. I think it's very important. Like you said, I think you should be thinking about the offensive line holistically, right? Is really how you should think a lot of it. But if you're going to reset the market, if we have CK over there burying his hands in his face when we're thinking about resetting the tackle market, kind of.
It's not resetting it.
It's not. But like, say you were going to be the team that was like, we got to keep this guy. We're going to pay him whatever fuck it takes. I sure as hell hope it's for a tackle rather than a guard.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I'm on this train. I want to hear what y'all think about it. I want to convert Greg Little into a guard. Like,
I think he's too much of a wuss. No, you get too much of a wuss. You got to just.
Everybody wants to throw him away and just be like, oh, Bob, he's a bust. Fuck him. My mindset is this.
You have been like that. You have been saying he's a fucking shit.
Tackle. Yeah, because
now he's offering an alternate solution. I like it. That's growth. I like that.
Well, sure, we want that.
We have evidence. We have evidence that he is terrible at tackle and that he isn't built to hold up right there. So maybe as like a last ditch attempt to save his career, we say, hey man, look, if you want to earn reps at tackle and if you see yourself as a tackle, you have to earn those reps.
He can't even break through, dude. That's all right, let's keep him on the team for depth, with that being the plan. But he can't even break through in the guard group. Let's not act like they wouldn't have thought about this. And then here, if anything, let's go back to the ultimate mistake of playing Darrell Williams at right tackle when he should have been a guard the entire time. Now, he resisted going to a guard because he was trying to make that money. And I understand that. But we should have never given him the fucking hope that he was going to be a tackle in the NFL.
Right.
The first thing, when we drafted Darrell Williams, I had this guy who is kind of contentious on the show at the time. He's an Atlanta Falcons guy, Scott Karasik. And he laughed when we drafted Darrell Williams. and he said that motherfucker has stone feet, lead feet, and you're going to try to play him at tackle. Now, I don't know.
Well, he was right, wasn't he?
He turned out to be right.
That one to a T.
Let's get some shout-outs in here. Brandon Peters for the Super Chat. If we don't sign Moton, we may have to triple dip. Well, you know what? Is this staff isn't scared to draft all defensive players, so what the heck? May as well draft 7 offensive linemen. We'd be okay. Mom's in the chat room. I'll watch my mouth. And 2, Josh from Mass says, Little either becomes a guard or gets traded to the Jets for a candy bar.
Hey,
the Jets will probably make him a starter. No.
And
Yeah.
so
And he'll probably hurt.
how about this? Dave Hano says, too little, too late.
Hey, real quick, Cody, I want to comment on what you said about moving Little to guard, and I actually kind of I like the idea of that because, like you said, we spent a lot for Little, and we want to get something out of him. I look at guard and tackle kind of like shortstop and second base in baseball. You know, it's interior protection. I think that shortstop is obviously usually the better athlete than the second baseman. I played second base, so I'm I can admit that the shortstop's usually the better athlete, but I feel like any shortstop can play second base. I don't know if any second baseman can play shortstop.
Yeah,
so like if you can't, if you're good enough to play tackle, you should be good enough to play guard. It's usually a less
all right. Well, there's
one position.
There's one kind of problem though with that.
What's that?
And that is that you kind of you need to have this long body type. Generally, is what people want at long arms, right? This is why when we get to the
Little
combine,
have long arms.
Yes, that's for tackle. That's for tackle. Yeah. At guard, it's like, and I'm not the technician, so I'll let somebody else who knows football has played offensive line. But I feel like pad level is so important there. So you see, first of all, one of the things they say is that's crazy about Aaron Donald is he's like 6 foot. So his pad level is so low, like he always gets underneath. So I almost feel like with a guard, being too tall is a problem because you got to be down in your stance and you got to get under quicker. So you got longer body. So I feel like the athleticism is not as important at guard as more of bull, mean, brute strength can be, and Little doesn't seemingly have that.
The technique is entirely different. It's a fight right away. I mean, it's more like sumo wrestling. You know, it's like you're going into it now. The battle starts instantly. So
tackle, you're positioning yourself and trying to figure out what the other guy's doing first.
And that links to what Tony was saying. It is much harder to find a tackle because finding a mobile, agile, big guy like what Tristan Wirfs or Jedrick Wills were last year, like that's coveted, man. I mean, look how good Tristan Wirfs has been for Tampa Bay this year.
But also look at how bad some of these very athletic guys have been, and one super unathletic dude in Orlando Brown, how good he has been.
Yeah, but so you remember everyone was shitting on him.
Yeah, do you remember we watched him? He was, but if you look at his stance when he plays with the Ravens, he's almost standing up. Like he barely bends over, dude.
He's like 6'8", dude.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah, he's a legit monster.
Let's dive back into the second half of that call real quick because I think, and we're on the same page here. Chuck brought up a position that is interesting and for free agency linebacker. We tried to piecemeal it. Now the sad part is by signing a real linebacker, we would be investing significantly monetarily in Shaq Thompson and somebody else. Can you look up this name for me on that list, Greg, that you got pulled up? Mm-hmm. And you will be surprised when I tell you this player has never made a Pro Bowl. Levante David.
Levante David. Let's see.
I don't think we're going to be able to afford him, but I also don't think that the Bucs are going to re-sign him. I'd like to see if he's.
So remember at the end of I think it was last week's episode we got a text from Benjamin Albright that was like naming all the people and where they would be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Albright at 9:39 p.m. tonight, he released that again with all of the stuff unredacted, and it says Casario in Houston, check. It says Rick Smith in Atlanta, and I do think they have interviewed. And then he says Adam Peters in Carolina.
Ooh, we like to hear
Very
it.
nice.
So
Very
it's
nice.
looking
I
more
could deal
and
with Peters,
more.
I think. Yeah.
It's looking more and more like Peters is our guy. So I'm happy about that. It's looking like that's how it's pointing.
That's what's up, dude.
And
Well,
it
hey,
sounds like he wants to be here too. Like it sounds
which is
like
even better.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
got
but-
that relationship, dude. It's already in the works. Go ahead, mark it down.
All right.
C3 Podcast breaking the news.
There you go. Hey, so Levante David is number 8 on the top 100 free agents.
Yeah, we're
list.
not going to be able to get him.
And his projection is the Buccaneers sign him for 3 years, $40 million
Okay.
at $13.33 million a year.
I think free agency, the other answer is we're going to probably, there's a big free agent pool for cornerback and safeties galore. And I don't think we're going to be at the top of the list for these guys. I don't think we're going to be signing top flight talent. But here's an interesting name. Patrick Peterson's time, his stock's devalued ever since the PED stuff. Rasul Douglas is also going to be a free agent. I'm trying to think. Xavier Rhodes will be a free agent. Mackenzie Alexander. These are big names. Probably too expensive for us. Kevin Johnson, Cleveland.
Name one of you, either Tony or Greg, Larry Ogunjobi, the defensive tackle for the Browns. I say that because he was the first player ever drafted out of UNC Charlotte. He's from right down the road, man.
Oh, nice.
Interesting. All right, let's go to the next call. 252-228-5098.
All right, I'm going to put this to bed before it even starts, okay? Because I know, granted, it's only Sunday, but I know a whole bunch of people are going to come on the podcast, and they're going to sit there and say, "Oh, well, we released Taylor Heineke, and look at how well he did last night." Yes, the kid is doing well in Washington, okay? But when you look at his stats, career stats are 48 for 77, okay? That's a 62% completion percentage. All right? That's not terrible. But he was a third-string quarterback in the XFL. He was our third-string quarterback. We released him for a reason. Okay? And if you're going to sit there and you're going to say, "Oh, well, he didn't have enough reps with the normal people," guess what? I can make that same argument about P.J. Walker. Okay?
That's true.
Taylor Heineke does not need to come back to Carolina. It needs to stop now before it even starts. All right? Love the show, guys. Listen every week. Keep pounding.
I 100% agree. He does not need to come back. However, he is better than Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, it's but to me, this is like the people, and listen, shout out to all the PJ Walker fans. But like everybody that's like, "Oh, PJ Walker's gonna lead the team." Like, look, I wanted Taylor to have his time to interview for the job. I wanted PJ to have his time to interview for the job, but it was just never gonna happen. So yeah, it's like people are believing in pipe dreams, believing in these undrafted quarterbacks, trying to find the next Tom Brady. Like, yeah, you're kidding yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to kick a hornet's nest here. Maybe it'll CK, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. I'm going to kick a hornet's nest here. Is that and not really, but going back to that year, right? So Cam Newton gets injured. We're at that game.
Yeah.
Right? That last game ultimately that Cam played for Carolina. We were there. And on top of that is then we had to watch Kyle Allen come in, and then you get the Kyle Allen crew that says, "Oh, let's replace," for the 5 games or whatever.
Yeah.
I think, and here's my kick of the hornet's nest, is I think that Taylor Heineke was better than Kyle Allen the entire time.
Absolutely.
I could see that. Yeah,
And I thought this, and this is why I watched the Washington football game with my friend at Pirate Radio. He's a Washington football fan, and we did a live watch, right? So we watched it, and he broadcast it on the radio station thing. And I was sitting there, we were talking about. He said, "Look, is that he didn't really feel that much different about their prospects by switching from Alex Smith to Kyle Allen, right? Like." And I said, you shouldn't feel that different about switching from Kyle Allen to Taylor Heineke. In fact, this guy played for Old Dominion. He slings it. The only thing on the stain on Heineke, the hero's resume, that's what I coined him as. He was a hero for the Washington football team. In fact, arguably, he was the best player on that team that night.
I think he earned the starting spot in that game, to be truly honest with you. I think he earned the starting quarterback position.
I think the most important thing, the thing that surprised me at the end though, was the Heineke hate that came out because he was a Trump supporter. Did y'all see that?
That has nothing to do with football. That's his choice. I'm not gonna judge his play by that.
What happened?
He's a Trump supporter.
So Heineke has this game, this good game, and then a lot of.
A bunch of QAnon posts or some shit.
So is Brady, but nobody stopped liking Brady because he's a Trump supporter.
I didn't know any of this, by the way.
Right, but I just feel like this is no matter what in this world, even in a moment, and I don't really know the history of him and his political views and how aggressive he's been in articulating them. That's usually more the issue with people, is not who and what side they support, it's how aggressive they are in the articulation of those ideas. I don't know his history of that, but it just sucks in this world. A guy goes out there and has this phenomenal moment in his life, and then he gets hurt, and then he comes out of the tunnel and is back, and it's awesome. And then you look up and you're like, oh gosh, now I can't think about this fucking event without thinking about all this other crap.
It's remember that's like when Joey Bosa event came out that like he was a Trump supporter and people were saying that what's it going to be like him going to San Francisco?
Oh yeah,
of all places.
It's just it's so heavy, so heavy. All right, next call 252-228-5098.
Yo, what it do? I just want to say fuck the Saints, fuck Drew Brees' baby back ass wrist. Fuck Alvin Kamara's dirty ass nose ring getting the virus. Fuck Slant Boy Crybaby needs a titty to suck on. Fuck the Saints times 10.
Fuck the Saints times.
I mean, I want them to win over the Bucks, to be honest with you.
Really? I can't.
Yeah, I really do.
No, I want the Saints to lose. I want the Saints to lose badly, and I want them to feel embarrassed. And then I want Drew Brees to have to retire in the next week.
See, my thing is, I want the Bucks to lose just so that way I can Skip Bayless up, and that's my thing. Like that is my biggest motive.
You know how you shut them up? Just turn them off.
The Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, it's true. You can't just mention the Cowboys. No, because he always has a secondary team. That's his team. Yeah. He's a Spurs fan and a Clippers fan.
Hey, that's a
Spurs fan and a wherever Brady goes fan. So
that's a good question. Do you guys have a team that you're
Bills.
like kind of?
Bills.
Yeah, dude.
Bills. I agree. I think the Bills are yeah.
Dude, and I have another question for you guys too. So think of it this way: a lot of people don't remember this, but the Buffalo Bills traded out of the spot they were in, so the Kansas City Chiefs could move up to draft Patrick Mahomes. Now, knowing that and knowing that they've also drafted Josh Allen and what he's doing now, did they make a mistake passing on Josh?
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think Mahomes flourish is in Buffalo like he did in Kansas City, and I think
I don't either. I
I
agree 100% with you on that. Yeah. I'm not saying Mahomes isn't great, but if he wasn't given the best situation to grow, I don't think he's the same player that he is today.
It's like that with every quarterback too. Like I said, I always tell everybody, imagine if Cam Newton was drafted by the Dallas Cowboys with the best offensive line and Terrell Owens and all the boys they had playing when he was drafted. Cam Newton would have had a few Super Bowl rings.
I think the Bills lose this week.
You think what?
I think the Bills lose this week.
There's a good possibility they do, but I think they're strong enough to win it all. I really do.
They could be.
are
No, I don't think they're a bad team. I think this, though, is that the Ravens are a team I don't want to be fucking with right now.
Really?
Yes.
The Bills.
Yes. They got punched in the face by the Tennessee Titans last year, right? They then get beat by the Titans, kind of galvanizing their season a little bit. I feel like the Titans' loss for the Ravens in this season was much like the Titans' loss. No, the Ravens' loss to the Titans this year was much like another game we were at last year, CK, when the Titans lost to the Panthers. And then after that, they turned it on.
Just went on a run.
I tell you this, is Baltimore has been steaming along since the COVID issues. Once they got back to health, they have been a team that I don't want to run into. That's what I'm telling you. I don't want to run into them. And I tell you, if there was a team that was going to beat them or had a really, really good chance right off the bat to beat them, I felt like it was Tennessee, right? As Tennessee comes in there and out-punches them, and Tennessee punched them in the mouth, and then they held their defense, rebounded, and held like the number 4 scoring offense to nothing. And I tell you, you go in and you get ahead of the Bills and you run the ball. Boy, I don't want to play the Ravens right now.
Hey,
real quick.
But dude, Josh Allen, if you look at that last game, man, he is, dude.
He's gonna do something dumb, dude. He is gonna do something dumb. As soon as you said it in Twitter, you said, "Oh, he's so great. He's this and that." And then at the end of the game, that's
the fumble though.
No, you know what? It was a dumb play. It was a dumb play. No, he did. It was something very similar to like a Cam did. Not only did he go backwards, he should have gone down the first time. It was a triple effort by him in a lose-lose situation that ended up in disaster. The thing is this, it's not about him getting sacked. It's not about a fumble. It's about this, is at the end of the game, he did something dumb. And I'm worried. I'm not necessarily worried. I don't think he's bad. I think he's shown a lot of growth from last year to this year. It's very clear. But you remember that wild-eye look he got in the playoffs where he looked like he had just hit the meth pipe and then threw lateral the ball or whatever? Look, Lamar is playing like a man, like he's playing with attitude right now.
Is he though?
I think so.
He had that 48-yard touchdown run, but
I don't think he is either. I'm with Cody on this. So this really, really interests me here. Let's do this, y'all. This week, and I'll keep track of it right here. I got it written down already. Let's all pick the AFC and NFC championship game after this weekend, and then next week we'll pick the Super Bowl. So this week, let's pick the 2 teams who are going to represent the AFC and the NFC in the championship game. Y'all want to do that?
Why don't we just pick all the games real quick? There's only 4 of them.
Yeah, that's basically what we're doing. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, all right. That's just okay. I got yes. Let's do it. Let's start with the AFC Ravens Bills. I'm going Ravens.
So
I go Bills.
So are we picking just the team or the score? Or
no, just the team. Just straight up, no points. Just
Bills. I think they're going to take advantage of their
Bills too.
Aggression. Yeah.
All right, so 3 Bills and Tony is the Ravens. All right.
Supreme Leader is real quick before we move on. Supreme Leader's dipping out. Thanks for the super chat. $4.99. He says, "Got to hit the road trucking. Peace out. Just so y'all know, Tired Whitehead's PFF rank is in the 30s." And I like how so many people have adopted my name of Tired Whitehead. It works. It just works.
Yeah,
all right.
It does.
Let's move to the other
AFC team, which is Cleveland and
Bro, I think this is going to be a better game.
I'm taking the Browns too.
Gosh, y'all are crazy.
The Browns can pull that. Bro, listen. If you look at the Chiefs, they have not won like maybe 1 or 2 convincing games this entire year.
I think it would be close.
Yeah. So you're taking the Browns too?
No, no.
You're taking the Chiefs.
I think it'll be a good match, and I think they're gonna run the ball effectively. But I think when push comes to shove, dude, Mahomes and Kelsey and Hill, someone's gonna make the play. Until you beat the champ. I'm going with the champ until I see someone that can be.
Same here. I picked the Browns last week on the radio to beat the Steelers. I was right. It took me a long time to even buy into the Steelers this year when they were 6-0. It's like, man, this team don't look. I don't feel good about. I knew they were frauds the entire time. I have not been firm believers in the Browns, but I tell you this: they play now. The Steelers gave them a lot of favors, helped them out, but the Browns have a better team than the Steelers, I think. But the Chiefs are too much of a juggernaut. In fact, I can't pick anybody over the Chiefs, even if the Ravens win against the Bills. I don't think that. I just probably next week going to pick the Chiefs too.
I hear. Okay, let's move to NFC then. Saints, Bucks.
I
Okay.
think I think Tampa Bay is going to do it this time. I trust their downfield passing.
Okay, Tony, what do you say? Tampa Bay.
Same. I agree. I think the Saints have the same team they've had for the last 3 years and hit the same wall.
I'm taking the Saints in this one, just so that way.
So, all right. CK,
I'm taking the Bucks.
There can't be anyone taking the Rams, right?
Greg is on the island. Yeah, Greg's on the island when it comes to the Saints.
I'm going to take the Packers, mainly because I'd rather see the Packers. So I'll go ahead and say I'm taking the Packers. So
I am as well.
Green Bay.
Does that mean? So this is what would happen.
I have Saints, Green Bay. Y'all have Tampa Bay, Green Bay in every situation, and it probably is going to be Tampa Bay, Green Bay. Not gonna lie.
Though this is going to be tough for the Bucks going into Green Bay if that's the case.
Oh yeah, I think the Packers go to the Super Bowl.
Wow. I don't know. There's some chinks in their armor, man. They're good. They're very good, but I'm wondering if that defense is as great as it needs to be.
Devontae Adams is the best wide receiver in the NFL.
I agree.
Him, DeAndre Hopkins are the two best wide receivers in the NFL. Nobody else is even close.
Oh, don't even. No one is more.
Stephon Diggs is good, but I will take Hopkins and Adams.
Well, those are the consensus top three. Oh, no, and Tyreek Hill. No, you got to put in Tyreek Hill there.
No, honestly, I'll take them over Tyreek Hill because Tyreek Hill only works in a system with a quarterback that can throw the ball 70 yards.
No,
doesn't only work.
Well, then guess what? Guess what? He would work on. He would work on Green Bay. He would work in Kansas City, and he would work in Buffalo.
Edges, guys like Devontae Adams and DeAndre Hopkins. It does not matter who's throwing the ball, what route they're running, what position they're in. They will make amazing plays.
I think DeAndre Hopkins was the #1 receiver 2 years ago. Yeah, I think he's on the other end of the. I think he's on the. I won't say the decline, but it's just kind of like like Julio was the.
He also downgraded at the quarterback.
That's what I'm saying.
Until Kyler Murray proves himself, like we know Deshaun Watson is just a G.
I don't think Kyler Murray. He may be a great quarterback. I don't think he'll ever be the thrower of the ball. That
no, he's always going to be athletic. He's got the arm talent, but I think he's going to be a benefit of the offense that he's in, and that's really going to be where his numbers come in.
The problem for Kyler Murray was brought up by Ed Smith on this podcast, and that is the difficulty he has throwing in the middle of the field, and it requires him to find the passing lanes a little bit better. So he's great to the outsides because he can see almost better, and that's good. There is a sort of limitation, but I tell you this: is Murray's arm talent is all there.
He looks like a peewee player in a high school football player's uniform.
Have you ever seen Rookie of the Year?
So tiny. Oh my gosh, so tiny.
You ever seen Rookie of the Year? Hosengarter, the little eighth grader who goes in and has the tuned up arm and was starting pitcher and for the Cubs. That's Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
But by the way, the reason I say Stephon Diggs is the best. I mean, if you look at dude, there is no better combo right now in the NFL than Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs.
No, I disagree. Adams and Rodgers. Adams and Rodgers right there with him, dude.
Look at what Stephon Diggs did to Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey is shutting down everyone. And by the way, that's the matchup that they're already billing is Jalen Ramsey versus Devontae Adams. But dude,
do you know Devontae
nobody-
Adams had more touchdowns than Teddy Bridgewater this year?
So did
not
So did rookie quarterback. A lot of couple of quarterbacks. So
Yeah, but Devontae Adams plays wide receiver.
but yeah.
It's embarrassing, man. But
No.
that's
I was
why I
like,
think-
Justin Herbert had more touchdowns than our entire. Not more touchdowns, but like 3 less touchdowns than our entire offense did.
Let me
Why
ask
not?
you this,
Entire
Greg, pull up Stephon Diggs numbers.
I'm doing right now. Stephon Diggs stats, and I'm pulling up.
Because
stats.
I'm going to tell
You don't
you
like
this is Devontae Adams numbers are fucking insane, bro.
Do you have Devontae Adams pulled up?
Yeah.
Okay, I have Diggs pulled up right here. So let's see. Total yards. Why does it not give me the total? 1535 with 8 touchdowns.
Okay. So Devontae Adams had 1,374 yards, so he's a little shy there.
Adams also missed 2 games.
He had 18. Oh, you stole my thunder. He had
Oh, sorry.
18 touchdowns. But here, how many receptions
18
did
touchdowns.
18, bro? He had 18, dude.
300 yards. I'll take the
Bananas.
Yeah.
He's the best. I agree. I think he's the best receiver. And I'm not going to fight you over. Like, I understand. I think, hey, okay, if you want to pick Diggs, if you want to pick,
Yeah, you're not wrong. Diggs.
yeah,
Exactly.
if you want to pick these guys, what was the other one? Adams, Diggs, Hopkins. Yeah, I'm not going to fight either over it. But I tell you this, Devontae Adams had 115 catches in 14 games.
Yeah.
It's
He was,
bananas.
what, 17, 18 catches away from breaking the
How
record?
many did
And
Diggs have? Diggs had the most catches in the league this year.
Diggs had 166 targets and 127 catches.
Just think
And
about
he's
this. He had
he's
12
like-
more catches over
Yeah.
2 more games, which, okay, so you would have – basically, they're putting up similar numbers, except for Devontae Adams is getting them touchdowns. And I tell you one thing, and you know, you put Diggs on Green Bay, the numbers are probably the same because
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Aaron Rodgers has no problems having a favorite on the field. Like he'll go to Devontae Adams in double coverage. He's got he's like, this is my dude, and he's always been like that. All right, the number's 252-228-5098. Go ahead, Cody, and then we'll move on to the next point.
Yeah, if you watch Stephon Diggs, there's this thing that happens between a quarterback and a receiver where they're just on the same page, and he's just there to save the day and make the play at the right time and catch the ball. And dude, remember Josh Allen's throwing heaters, bro. And Stephon Diggs.
So is Aaron Rodgers, bro. Like, I mean, is that I agree. Is that here?
Cody, let's just say they're both great, man. They're both great.
Yeah.
They don't have to win. They're
They
both
are.
great. They're both
But I
amazing.
think the Bills are gonna fucking do it, bro. I really do. think
No.
that.
I agree. The Bills are gonna do it.
Devontae Adams is much bigger though. Stephon Diggs is listed at 6 foot, 190 pounds. Devontae Adams 6'1", 215. And the last point before we move on to the next topic of conversation, the Joe Brady coaching circuit. Go ahead and smash the thumbs up button while we're there. Is I want to toot my own horn here for a position a take that I've developed. I think I've said it on this show in the past, and that is I believe that the Stephon Diggs trade, where Sean McDermott and Brandon Bean and Sean McDermott, should I say, who orchestrated a very aggressive trade in this offseason is taking on an expensive contract, yes, for a younger player who arguably there were, I won't say questions about him, but I just found Stephon Diggs an interesting character who had gotten paid. Remember, he was upset. He was ready to get paid in Minnesota, and then he got paid by Minnesota. He's ready to get out, like immediately. Yeah. But so there was a certain risk, that inherent risk that came with the money, and I would say a little bit with the individual. Yeah. And I'm not trying to overhype him as being a problem because he's been obviously a great fit in Buffalo. But I think that the origins of that aggressive trade stem from the limitations of the 2015 Carolina Panthers team.
Yes, they learned everything that we did wrong, and they built a similar team, but
not
those mistakes.
I think doing wrong is the wrong. I think that's even a little too hard. I would just say is that having 98% or 90% of the puzzle can get you close. can get you real close, can get you but it takes something elite to get you over the top. And that was the thing missing on the Carolina Panthers team that year, was an elite wide receiver. And probably better offensive line play.
And by the way, if we have a true number one wide receiver like that, I guarantee you the narrative about Cam Newton and his inaccuracies, they would have gone away just like Josh Allen's did.
Or what would have happened is this, even if they didn't go away in the long term, right? Say Cam's durability becomes a problem. His say the same thing happens that happened. But if you make that trade in the heat of the moment of 2015, maybe you get over the top. You know, like maybe – do you remember like one of the big acquisitions we made that year was when we had a defensive end go down or something, and we went out and got Jared Allen immediately.
Yeah, and that helped a ton.
If at week 10 or week 8, when we were looking at this team going, man, this is it. It can be there. You know, you got to wonder if you should have pulled the trigger then. Next topic is this. We've been talking. We've mentioned it early in the broadcast. We got to talk about it. Joe Brady has been on the interview circuit. Joe Brady's name, a meteoric rise, the offensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers, has served as an assistant at college at a couple places, most notably at LSU in the Joe Burrow season, where he gained a lot of notoriety. That notoriety and his performance at LSU landed him the job on a new staff with Matt Rule and the Carolina Panthers. 1 year into his job, 30-year-old Joe Brady now has interviewed for head coaching positions with the Houston Texans, the Atlanta Falcons, the New York Jets, and there's one other team. The Atlanta Falcons. Thoughts on the Joe Brady coaching kind of circuit, and if you, in your take, will Joe Brady be the offensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers next year?
No.
No, I don't think so. I really don't think so. And listen, do y'all remember earlier this year when we had like a 3-on-1 debate about this? And I was like, dude, Joe Brady is going to get a ton of, he's going to get offers. It's going to happen. And I feel like, I went and actually listened to our podcast last week, and literally everything that me and Greg said in our back and forth, like we're probably just about to replay over and over. I know it doesn't have the touchdowns, doesn't have all that, but I'm telling you that these other teams, they're going to see the potential of pairing a young, bright offensive coordinator with a really good quarterback that can spread the ball around, and they're not going to have the problems that the Panthers offense had this year. And
I don't want to.
But the problem is I don't think that you can say that he's a bright young offensive coordinator.
Exactly.
How?
Thank you.
What has he done? What outside
What has
of
he done to prove he's a good offensive coordinator? Sorry.
I have told you all for 2 months in a row. We have 2 receivers that have over 1,000 yards.
Ooh, and what? 9 touchdowns? Awesome. Great job. I'm sure that's what a team wants, is a lot of yards and no touchdowns.
You all just get to throw that out of the window. That doesn't matter. With our limited,
It doesn't matter when you don't win and don't score touchdowns, Cody. You can Cody, listen, Winston threw for 5,000 yards last year and 30 touchdowns.
And 30 interceptions.
30 interceptions, exactly.
Yeah, well, Deshaun Watson threw for 30 interceptions this year and only have 4 interceptions.
Yards are empty if they don't equal points and don't equal wins. It is empty. It does not matter.
Okay, let's not get into whether or not Joe Brady should be, right, deserving or this or that. It's more about will he be.
He will.
I think
it's because these, like I said, I think that it's a matter of marketing for these teams. Yeah. I think that, yes, these teams want to win, but I also know that owners are smart and realize that if you have a young offensive-minded play caller, you're going to make your fan base much more happy than if you go after somebody like a solid, the 49ers defensive coordinator. That isn't as exciting as getting to Joe Brady, because Joe Brady has been built up by the reporters and everybody. Like that's the reason I'm on this train. Like, I think he is going to go, because you're seeing who is asking for interviews, and that everybody's saying he is doing incredible with his interviews. But whether or not he deserves, that's, like I said, we've already had that hashed out. But I think he will, because of the fact that it's all about this is a reality show, as Greg likes to say.
Well, there's two ways too, and I don't want to take us too back into the conversation to deserve it, but so in one hand, Cody, you can say that this offense, I think he was a fine offensive coordinator. That's what I would say. I think he was fine. I think he did a admirable job in his first year as an offensive coordinator. I would say he ultimately exceeded my expectations, because my concerns were, hey, this is, you just don't want to make sure you're in over your head. He did not seem in over his head. There were some mistakes throughout the season. Some of those seemingly were linked to Teddy Bridgewater a lot, right? When you think about the fumble on the quarterback sneak, I had someone ask, is that Joe Brady making that call? Like where you're dissecting every play, some timeout stuff, some clock stuff, and you go, well, some of that could be on the offensive coordinator side, get the plays in early enough, but a lot of it ultimately rested on the limitations of Teddy Bridgewater and problems there. On one hand, and so those are accolades, and you can point to the receiving stats and some different things and the success of Mike Davis. You could argue that, hey, the offensive line's performance in many ways could have been helped by scheme, right? So those are all good things. I'm not negating that, but you could also at the same time say, look, if any side of the ball regressed throughout the season, it was the offense.
It was, but like
right, it's like the defense seemed to get better. It's almost seemed like the offense really soared in the first 6 to 8 weeks, right? And you could say limitations with the quarterback. Yeah, we can point to those things. But at the end of the year, I don't know if the Panthers offense was necessarily much better than it was in, say, week 4. So that could be one limitation. But I think here's the main concern I would have with Joe Brady, hiring him as your head coach, whoever he is. Mm-hmm. I think that and it's not lack of experience, but I have to start with that. His lack of tenure, right? Mm-hmm. Being so young. I don't know if he has enough. I would be concerned about how many football relationships he has to make a staff.
Yeah.
They're telling me that they can barely hear us. The volumes on us are very low. And I went and listened. It is very, very low.
Huh. The volume is very low?
For everyone that's what Lance Kubiak said, for everyone except Tony.
Oh, God damn it. Don't tell me that. Here, hopefully this will help. I'll turn y'all up. This is how it always is. Fuck.
While you fix that, I'll make a point on my low volume here, and I want to pose this question to everybody in this podcast and people in the chat room. Okay, was Joe Brady's offensive performance this year, his production, what he did, the way our offense ended up, better than Marty Herney's draft this year?
Wait, what? How is that even?
No, I'm just asking, like a comparison.
It's fine,
huh?
Sorry, I was letting Tony know that Kevin says it's fine.
Would you consider the offensive production that Joe Brady put out a better representation of his job doing better than you would Marty Herney with his draft this year? Because
yes.
Really? Okay. Okay. So what were our draft picks this year that worked out? I believe the first 3 rounds were pretty good, right?
About 2 different things. We have all said on this show. We have all said on this show that Teddy Bridgewater regressed as the season went on.
Was chosen that Brady, right?
So we say, but that's what the propaganda line have you believe.
Go.
Nobody knows who. Nobody has any idea who made the final decision on Teddy Bridgewater.
Cody, you've got to be blind if you.
That's not my question, Cody. That's not my question. My question is, was Joe Brady's offensive production with wins, which is what you want in the end, wins, touchdowns, and scoring in the end from an offensive coordinator, better than the 3 picks that Hurney got in the first 3 rounds of this draft that are going to be with this team for the next 10 years.
I gotta end this conversation. I am ending this conversation right here because I watched.
Read Joshua's comment. Joshua said you're comparing apples to lawnmowers.
Exactly.
I'm ending this conversation for this reason.
I don't care.
For this reason is that the listeners of this podcast do not know that this argument from Greg and Cody
goes on
has
all
been
the time.
going on in our DMs for like
all day.
a month.
Yeah.
And it comes back like every week on the day of the show. And today, Greg, you instigated it. Today, or whatever it was yesterday, I looked at it. I was like, I ain't even checking this shit, bro. And then when I opened it later and tried to scroll past it, it was like 9 million.
Yeah, me and Greg just.
You know what, though? That's why I love Cody, man. We both debate great points. I love, I love it.
I will say this much, Cody. I have to acknowledge it. If you do not see the writing on the wall that Joe Brady brought Teddy Bridgewater in, you're pulling the wool over your eyes, man. Like,
amen to that.
In what world do they hire a new offensive coordinator and then say, all right, we're going to bring a quarterback in, but you're not going to have any say of who it is.
And he just happens to be the guy that you used to work with.
Yeah. Okay, did he have say so over Matt Rule? Because we all believe that the Matt Rule nepotism brought all the Temple and the Baylor guys.
It's not an either-or thing. It's influence, bro. It's influence. You got to say this, is that his fingerprints are on it. That doesn't mean nobody else's fingerprints are on it. They're all guilty. But Joe Brady said, I can get it done with Teddy Bridgewater. You know it.
But he's not the final. Listen, this is why
then you know what? It doesn't matter. If my kid says I can jump off the roof with an axe and be okay, and then I say, okay, go do it. Guess what? Everybody's in it.
It's your fault.
No, it's not my fault. It's everybody's fault. It's everybody's fault.
So you're saying it's Pepper's fault?
It's our decision makers should never let a first-year offensive coordinator.
So you know what? Let's make him a head coach. Let's make him a head coach.
Oh, now
you're right. You're right. We should not make.
I've got to go back and look at what you said when we signed Joe Brady. I've got to go back and do it because if you said it was a good idea, what you're saying is all false right now.
Then why should it be a good idea to make him a head coach? Then, if you do not believe Joe Brady was cognizant enough to make that decision and live with it and help and be a contributor to it, but now you're saying he's ready to take over a whole fucking organization? Nah. You can't have
Tony,
Teddy Bridgewater is part stain on Joe Brady. You cannot deny it.
Tony, if your son decides to eat a birthday cake for dinner instead of the dinner that your wife prepared, of course your son is going to choose to eat the cake. You don't let him make that decision. That's not his job. It's your parents. It's the parents'
Teddy
job.
Bridgewater's like eating a turd, bro. Not like eating a birthday cake.
You know why?
You can ask Bridgewater his opinion, but the final say to say, okay, you're going to be the guy who determines our quarterback for the 2020 season. Like that's.
I'm not saying that, Cody. What you're saying is this, though.
It's completely different.
We're not saying that. We're not saying that. You are saying that he is not culpable at all for this decision.
No,
that's what you were saying.
If he wanted Bridgewater. You're basically saying the reason that he should be hired as a coach is because he was limited by the quarterback that he wanted.
Listen, I'm saying his fingerprints are on the same quarterback that everyone else's fingerprints are on.
Okay. Yes, but you cannot say it's a check mark on his resume. If there is any weakness.
Job off of? The LSU title, right? The LSU title, they're having the great year with Joe Burrow. Guess what happened this year? All Joe Burrow's records got broken. Okay, so Joe Brady had one amazing year with a great quarterback, and guess what happened next year after
I'm not even trying to argue that. Even trying to argue that. I just think this is that if we're gonna accentuate, we cannot Teddy Bridgewater cannot be seen as a positive on the Joe Brady resume.
Yeah.
That's it. Is that I don't care whose decision entirely it was. Yes, Marty Herney overpaid him. To be honest, it wasn't entirely a bad plan if it wasn't for the longevity of the deal. That's it. Is that basically Teddy Bridgewater has not played as a starting quarterback for a long time. He has not played a full season for a long time. And because he played 5 so-so games with the Saints and has been somewhat healthy holding a clipboard, that we gave him a 3-year deal. He was deserving of a 1-year prove-it deal. That is the fail. So if Joe Brady said, yeah, I can get it done with Teddy Bridgewater, he knows my stuff well, this and that, we can do it. It's the longevity of the deal that's the real problem. But at the same time, if there's a flaw, a kink in the armor, guess what? Joe Brady has yet to show us he can pick a quarterback. Now, I want to ask you this, is where does he land then? If he gets this job,
Falcons.
The Falcons. Now, are you
going to why? I think they're going to throw the book at him with money. And
the rumor mill is coming along that he is the front runner for the Falcons' job.
I'll tell you why that they're going to win that bidding war. Number one, he has ties to the Saints and he has ties to the Panthers. That is it. And then obviously the upsides that they see in what he could possibly do with the brand new offense. But those 2 reasons are why he will be Atlanta Falcons head coach next year.
But Tony, did you hear how you just said that? This is what I feel has happened. Maybe I'm wrong, but literally how you just worded that is, from the perspective of Joe Brady, I know Teddy. I worked with him in New Orleans. I think I could make it work with him. I think that he would be, a good candidate to be the quarterback for the Panthers. So then maybe he said that to everyone. And then now we're all taking that as, oh, this is Joe Brady's preferred guy that he chose
that's not what I said.
Other option he had.
That's not what I said. And you are taking it wrong.
In favor of Bridgewater.
Can I go real quick? Listen,
you make it sound like Bridgewater signed the contract, or that Brady signed the contract and the dollar amount. And that's not true.
Cody, if we didn't have Cam Newton 1 year under contract when that happened, and they make the choice to get rid of an MVP, 15-1 Super Bowl contending quarterback, to go with Teddy Bridgewater, then your argument holds water. But without that, your argument doesn't hold any water, because not only did they sign Teddy, they got rid of a guy that they could have paid less for 1 year and still moved on.
See, that's not what I'm implying. That's not what I'm implying. I'm implying this is that one simple thing. I'm not even implying it. I'm saying it. The biggest stain on his season for him, you've said it, is the limitation of Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah,
and that is this and basically is this: he cannot be seen as he just can't be guilt free entirely in this.
No, what you can't do is use Teddy Bridgewater as a crutch. This is why he should be, because he still put out these numbers with this quarterback. The reality is, and here's the part that I say, that is important to put into perspective here, is we let go of Cam Newton in favor of Teddy Bridgewater. Do you think that for a second they didn't come to Brady and say, do you want Bridgewater over Cam Newton? Because I'm telling you right now, the one person who had anything to do with Teddy Bridgewater on this team was Joe Brady. Yes. And there is no other evidence that, even if you look at the games last year, there is zero evidence that Teddy Bridgewater was a franchise quarterback. They went to Joe Brady, and Joe Brady jumped up and down for Teddy Bridgewater.
I don't know if it's that far. I think Tepper.
You don't know that.
I don't know that.
You don't know that, but there is a lot more evidence pointing to that than there is going the other way.
The truth's in the middle, probably. The truth's in the middle.
I'll put this on Joe Brady. He was the final.
No, see, now you are so defensive.
You're putting it all on Marty Herney. What are you talking about? You put everything on Marty Herney. Why can't we put some stuff on Joe Brady?
Tony, I'm not saying you're doing that, but Greg and CK,
I'm doing it. Yeah, I'm doing it. I'm totally doing it.
They absolutely are doing that, and that's what I'm saying. We don't know. No matter what you want to believe, none of us here knows who made the final decision.
So then your argument with Marty Herney is invalid. If you will agree that your argument with Marty Herney about making the decisions
God.
and
No,
where we're
no
at is
Marty
invalid, then I will say, okay, you're right. But you are arguing a point that you're trying to argue against in another argument.
I tell
I'm
you
just
who
saying.
made the
way we
decision.
do
I
it
know
world,
exactly.
Marty
I know
Herney was the reason for everything, but Joe Brady had nothing to do with anything. You can't say that, dude.
Exactly
Come on,
who made the decision. So the first decision is a series of decisions, is what it is.
It's a team
Right?
effort.
It's a
Yes.
series of
They
decisions.
all
The first
suck.
decision
Pepper,
was in the
Rule,
hiring of Matt Rule.
Yeah, they all suck.
The decisions were made by David Tepper. That's very
I
simple,
agree.
and not who to acquire, but that it was time to move on from Rivera. Then it was time to move on. Like, let's accelerate the Cam Newton departure. Those fingerprints, I think, lie on Tepper. But then the question is how much of the replacement. And I think this is that Matt Rule and Joe Brady felt like, hey, we can put together a pretty good offense with Teddy Bridgewater. Now, let's go to Joe Brady moving to Atlanta, because that's where a lot of signs are pointing. This is according to AtlantaFalcons.com. There's been no official indication from the organization about which way they are leaning with this search at this time, but reports are, that's the disclaimer underneath the title, Joe Brady, Terry Fontenot pairing very possible for the Falcons. Jonathan Jones reports, said this on CBS Sports Net yesterday. Sources have told me a Terry Fontenot, Joe Brady union in Atlanta is very possible. Other people are saying this. What, Cody, the main Joe Brady fan on this podcast, like if we're going to rank us in number, it would probably be you being number one, Greg being last, and CK and I somewhere in the middle.
I agree with that.
When Joe Brady, if and when Joe Brady goes to Atlanta, what's your opinion of?
So listen, look, I keep it a butt no matter what. This is just my honest opinion. Okay, it's a problem if he goes to Atlanta, because I don't know if you guys have heard this, but Zach Wilson did an interview and he was talking about some of his potential landing spots, and he mentioned Kyle Shanahan, but he also mentioned, and I could play the clip at some point if we need to play it, Joe Brady and the Carolina Panthers, and that he's talked a lot to Joe Burrow. Him and Joe Burrow have the same agent, and that, he's talked about Joe Brady and how good his system is. And that's a problem, because what that means is, because let me tell you, what that fucking means is if Joe Brady is hired as the head coach in Atlanta, oh, dude, the Panthers better do, unless they're in love with Trey Lance, they better do everything in their power to move up ahead of the Atlanta Falcons at 3, because what I'm telling you is that Zach Wilson and Joe Brady in Atlanta, dude, that's nightmare fuel, and y'all don't even know it, bro.
I'm not gonna lie with you.
That's
you're right.
Nightmare fuel. And by the way, Greg, you know that it would be, because that matchup, those two together, they're gonna produce, and that's
I agree.
The whole crux of my argument, man.
I agree. And here's my thing, Cody, and this is where our argument kind of like comes to a point where I think you may have a misunderstanding for me. I don't think Joe Brady is bad. I think he's a really good offensive coordinator. I think that he can really do a good job. He had 1 year in Carolina. He did not do a good job. No matter what you want to say, he did not do a good job in Carolina with our offense this year. That doesn't mean that he can't move forward and have a great career and do great things with great players. I think that if Joe Brady goes to Atlanta with Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley and Julio will be there. Maybe Zach Wilson, holy crap, that could be amazing. I also think if Joe Brady comes to Carolina
just with Matt Ryan,
Zach Wilson and Curtis Samuel and DJ Moore, he could be amazing. So I think he has the potential to be amazing. My problem is he has not been in the pros. Therefore, I don't feel like he deserves the chance to move forward. I
think the real
but
problem,
I'm not saying he can't be good.
I think the problem with Joe Brady is the challenge for Joe Brady when he becomes a head coach is not going to be on the offensive X's and O's stuff, right? Like, that's not what we're interested in. what you're really interested in is the job too much for him, as in the organizational part. But what really I'm thinking is concerning to me if I'm trying to hire Joe Brady is that it's not just that he's young. It's like, how many of these guys have to pull in people that they know and feel comfortable working with and they feel confident with? I just truly feel this is that Joe Brady ain't poaching a Phil Snow away, obviously. And some of the guys that have worked under Joe Brady offensively, one of them is the offensive coordinator now for the South Carolina Gamecocks. Our quarterbacks coach moved on to be LSU's offensive coordinator. And I'm really being just this is, how do you fill out all the assistant coaches? Do you know enough people? And I know that that's not something that should keep you from hiring somebody, but I would like to see how that part goes for him in the future. Now, is it Atlanta then, Cody?
I mean,
it's not New York. He's not right now. It looks like Saleh is getting the Jets job, and I do think what's going for Brady in Atlanta beyond what I think what CK brought up is division knowledge is very helpful. Right, you're not only strengthening your team.
Know what Rule's plan is?
Right, you're not only strengthening your team, but you're taking away an asset from one of the teams. From the Panthers.
Right.
I think though I think what you're going to get is the reason the Jets won't hire Joe Brady is the very reason Atlanta will. And what I mean by that is, who were the former coaches that both teams had hired? Well, for the Atlanta Falcons, it was Dan Quinn, who found some early success, but that early success was built on a Shanahan offense. And without Shanahan, he struggled to not just get an offense. That wasn't only the problem. It just took away such a strength and asset of the team. So they saw the problems with the defensive coach in Atlanta. On the other hand, is that they kind of saw the problems with the introverted, quirky offensive guru in Gase, supposedly. And they're a little gun shy on right now as fans and maybe organizationally on being so risky. And I'm not saying that Gase and Brady are comparative. That's not what I'm saying. It's just I feel like I feel like they're gravitating towards Saleh, but I think Atlanta could very well be interested in gravitating towards what they missed in Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think that's a astute observation. I think when you look at that, I think that's actually a really smart way of looking at it. What did we do? Like, some people would look at Rule. I think we did a pretty middle of the pack with Rule. When we went from Ron Rivera to Rule. Rule had more of an offensive mind, right?
He's both. He's done everything. He's done defense, offense. Right? You're right. He is a middle guy. He's not a genius. He's not calling the plays.
Yeah. I think he's a program builder, and that's what we needed. We needed somebody who is going to let the people that are really good at offense and the people that are really good at defense do their job. Like, it doesn't really work out very well when you have the head coach calling plays for both sides or either side, really. Whereas, I think we kind of split the difference. We didn't overcorrect. I do think you'll see Atlanta Falcons overcorrect. I think they're going to do that because they miss having an offense like that is like what they had in 2016. That was an amazing offense. And that was one that was exciting. It puts butt in the seats.
You're right. Well, they always have offense. Cody, what do you do with Matt Ryan, though, if that's what you're trying to line up in a Brady, Fontenot, youthful Zach Wilson combination? And by the way, Atlanta has a real opportunity to get that player this year, a better opportunity than the Carolina Panthers do.
Yeah, and that's why I said it's nightmare fuel, man, because it's a very real scenario. I don't know. I mean, listen, I think Joe Brady, like, I agree with you all. Like, I don't know Joe Brady. I don't know his capacity to be a full leader like that. Like, you just assume that he isn't there yet just because he hasn't had that experience. But, I don't know. This is always and was always going to be a problem with Joe, is that we're never going to keep him. And one of the the negatives, and one of the negatives to Matt Rule being a culture builder type coach instead of a play calling type coach is because now he's always going to have to defer the areas of expertise on play calling to other people. So there's always going to be a carousel of offensive and defensive coordinators coming through Carolina. And, people have made that, other teams have made that work. The Steelers have made that work. The Seahawks have made that work. It can work. But it not having that kind of connection, it's not ideal. But when you have a young player like that, I imagine that they would try and trade Matt Ryan. I know everyone talks about the numbers not being favorable to do that. And I don't know all of the intricacies of the contract, but listen, okay, if you're the Falcons, you have seen the New Orleans Saints in your own division hold on to Drew Brees until his arm is like a mummy arm. Do you want to do the
Matt
same?
Ryan is too right now, I feel.
Well, Matt Ryan has still got an arm, but he's old. He's 36. You're right.
Yeah.
This is all good.
And even if
I'm 36, man. That's not old. Come on.
And by the way, even if you want to hold on to Matt Ryan,
says the guy with plantar fasciitis right now who's 39 and a broken thumb.
He doesn't have the. How about this? He seems older than Matt Ryan or than Aaron Rodgers because he doesn't have the physical gifts that Aaron Rodgers does.
He's not as mobile. He's not. Yeah. And look, his Matt Ryan has not been a weakness ultimately, but I agree 100%. He's 30. He's 35. Excuse me. And like you can see, this is that you've the best of Matt Ryan is been here, and you still might get an opportunity for him to play well. In fact, I just Googled Matt Ryan trade. Here are from who knows what sportsnaut.com, whatever that is. 5 most likely Matt Ryan trade scenarios. Matt Ryan, number 1, trade to the San Francisco 49ers. Reunite with Kyle Shanahan. Number 2, Matt Ryan trade to New England Patriots.
I can see that too.
Number 3, Matt Ryan trade to Chicago Bears.
Ooh.
Who can't get a quarterback in the draft this year and need to get off of Trubisky. Number 4, Matt Ryan trade to the Colts. And I think here's one that would sadly play this year because I don't think Dallas is going to be good enough to get their quarterback in the draft. Matt Ryan trade to the Cowboys.
Ooh, and I want to bring up one point after that. But you're right, Matt Ryan, the Cowboys are good. Look, can I point out real quick? Matt Ryan is Phillip Rivers.
I disagree.
Oh, he's better.
No,
he's
not better. He's not better. He had 1 year. One year that was better.
Look at the stats, bro.
Other than that, Matt Ryan is a quarterback that is going to listen. Hold on. He's a quarterback that is going to throw for 35 touchdowns. He's going to throw for a lot of yards, but he's also going to have 15 picks, and he's going to be a middle of the line quarterback for most of the season. He's going to be, well, I wouldn't say middle of the line, top 10. He's a top 10 quarterback when you give him the right weapons. If he didn't have Julio Jones his whole career, he had Julio Jones his whole career. Okay, that is true. They got drafted the same year.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying Matt Ryan has always had weapons.
Yeah, like they got
always had offense.
Were they?
I'm pretty positive they were.
Roddy White.
Let me go check. Yeah,
he's had Julio, Roddy White. Remember that combo?
Yeah, he had
Julio drafted the same year as Cam.
2011, yes.
And Matt Ryan's older than
was 2010,
Cam.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think Matt Ryan's older than Cam. Yeah, he's definitely older. He's 35. I tell you this is, you know what, both, and I'll give you that. I will posit that comparison. I just think that Matt Ryan's better than Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers, to me, I always just get to the point. I just think Phillip Rivers is overrated quarterback of the world. He always throws, and sometimes it's not about.
Come on, man, North Carolina guy, you got to pull for him.
I hate homie, man. I hate NC State, dude. I'm an ECU Pirates fan, bro. I
understand. He just graduated from North Carolina the same year I did in college. So,
I mean, you
And
can't
Matt
say that.
Ryan was Boston. Matt Ryan's Boston College. Philip Rivers. I just think Philip Rivers throws the most worst timed picks in the history of football.
Yeah, but here's the thing with the Rivers and Matt Ryan comparison. You can't say Ryan had better weapons. Yeah, you had Julio Jones, but like if you look at all the receivers that Phillips Rivers had over the years, I mean, and then you add LaDainian Tomlinson in there as well as the back and as a running back.
I don't want to hear anybody
Matt
say
Ryan
about
also had
either
Todd
of these.
Gurley. He's had not Devontae Adams. Who was the running back that was so good for them for so long?
They're the same. They're the same. I think they're the same.
He's had a share of good weapons.
Both have had tons of weapons, and both have not been able. I just think Matt Ryan's had more success. Is that
a little more?
And Philip Rivers' real stain is he puts up good stats, but guess where he don't ever get. He don't ever get. Yeah, man, he just doesn't. And I'm not saying that Ryan's been much better, but anyway, are there any? So that is the Joe Brady talk. Any other points, Cody, on the Joe Brady potential for? Like, how do the Panthers fill that void? Another interesting move. That will be a good. I guess we'll have to go into the well of somebody that Matt Rule's worked with at Temple.
Yeah, or Baylor. Yeah, one of the two. You know what's funny? I saw a Baylor receiver the other day. I can't remember what game I was watching online or not, whatever game was playing last week, and a Baylor receiver caught a pass, and I was like, "Holy shit! Why is he not on Carolina? He's a Baylor receiver. He should be on Carolina." Like it blew my mind. Yeah.
Any other thoughts, Cody, on Joe Brady getting a head coach job?
I mean, listen, I hope he stays. I think it's inevitable. I mean, I hope it keep him for one more year. That way, listen, how stupid would it be if we missed out on Joe Brady with Cam Newton or potentially another quarterback like Zach? Yeah, like that. We literally just wasted all of it on fucking Teddy Bridgewater. That's embarrassing.
Did you see
and I really don't know who.
Did you see the tweet of the guy who said that Joe Brady talked the Panthers into getting rid of Cam, brought in Teddy Bridgewater, and then ruins us and gets the Atlanta job? Talk about playing chess while everybody's playing checkers.
And he's going to be right, too. He's going to be fucking right. Tweet. And that's why my reply to him, even though it was fiery, I don't give a damn because he's right. That's what's going to happen. And that asshole Joe Brady... Oh my gosh! I wish Cam Newton would punch him in the face. Was my tweet.
You know what's going to be great? What about this?
Well.
What about Cody? How about this? Is what happens when the Falcons do all of that stuff and somehow get Cam to be their backup quarterback?
I was about to tell you.
Oh my god, dude! Punch me in the nuts, then. Seriously, like punch me in the nuts. Because
here's what I'm thinking is going to happen. I think the Falcons trade Matt Ryan to the Redskins. Because the Redskins have no play to try to get a quarterback in the draft unless they go for one of the, Dwayne Haskins types again.
God damn it, CK. I see where you're going.
And you know why? Because Ron Rivera has seen Matt Ryan up close and personal for the past 10 years destroy every team he's had except for one time, essentially, or maybe a few times. So he's seen Matt Ryan work, and he knows that he would do well. Cam Newton goes home because if you look and see what he talked about after he left New England, he said, I'm going to go home. I'm going to get out of New England as fast as I can because I miss being away from my family. Being away from this long is tough. Yeah. Well, guess what would happen if he didn't have to go to New England or anybody else? If he went to Atlanta, he'd be with his family. And then I think, obviously, you see the Joe Brady. I think it's going to be a bad offseason for those moves for the Panthers when we see all that happen.
Oh, my
God damn it, CK.
You want to talk about nightmare scenario, Cody. Joe Brady takes the head coaching job, gets Zach Wilson, but also decides that they are going to sign Cam Newton and give Zach Wilson just a little protection, maybe. Maybe they start him halfway through the season. Maybe they walk him in. Maybe they start him from the beginning, and then Cam steps in there. Do you know how bad it will be if not only do we not get a quarterback? Do you know how hard it will be for me to watch Teddy Bridgewater in a Carolina Panthers jersey facing the Atlanta Falcons in a fucking Cam Newton at quarterback? I will. I might not watch. I might not watch
Damn
it.
it, DK. I did not even think about that until you said that. You
That's exactly what's
asshole.
gonna
I
happen,
love
man.
you, but god damn it, dude.
All right.
I mean, listen,
Like what the hell, man?
worst. It's
that
the
makes
worst
total
possible
sense. And
scenario.
god damn it.
this is what I'm trying to do, right? There is so much that is set to happen between now and April. We have to get through free agency. There's a lot of shit to happen. It really doesn't benefit us now to start, freaking out about scenarios that
Well,
may
you were
or
just
may not
freaking
happen,
about the Wilson. You were freaking out about Wilson Brady.
That's
you
true.
just throw in
Well,
Cam Newton to make it even worse.
I'm painting what could actually happen.
What I could absolutely happen.
Right.
Yeah.
I know, and what I'm saying is this: like this offseason, and I said this before, is going to be, I think, the most important offseason in the entire history of the Carolina Panthers, and I really mean that. It is such a transition.
Pretty important.
Such a transition for us moving to we're still moving on with a new owner. We're having a brand new general manager. We just hired a head coach. We don't have a quarterback for the future.
Or an offensive coordinator.
And how about this? The fact that the fact that the Eagles fired Doug Peterson, that actually is.
I wanted to ask you that. Yes.
Yeah, that I do think that's a good thing for us because Philadelphia is ahead of us. That says to me that they want to try and rehabilitate Carson Wentz instead of trying to draft.
Because they're going to be one or the other. Yes.
That's a good thing for us, So let that, we like that. That represents another team ahead of us that we don't have to worry about. Maybe they could even be a trade partner if the board falls the right way.
I have Wentz and Hurts. Like they are not drafting quarterback.
I mean, if
let's not get into that.
that,
I want to make one analogy though. If Joe Brady, a quarterback in the draft, and somehow Cam Newton on the Atlanta Falcons have, that would be the equivalent of Claire. Have you guys seen Silence of the Lambs?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you remember in the beginning where Clarice goes down that hallway of lunatics to go meet Homeboy?
Yeah.
Do you remember what happened to her on the way?
It's been forever since I've seen that.
Yeah, I'd say it's been a long time.
Tell me.
That one of the crazy inmates jerked off and threw it at her. That would be the equivalent of that moment. We are Clarice walking down the hall. Next call.
Podcast brothers, how y'all doing? Hey, that was a good game last night. Alabama ran through Ohio State, man. Hey, and I know what a lot of Panther fans are thinking. We should draft Mac Jones. And the thing is, he was never on my radar like that. But
not neither.
He looked pretty good out there, man. He looked pretty damn good.
Dude, Cody, put your hate away. He did look good.
Not in the first round.
Dude.
If he falls to second, which I seriously doubt he will fall to second, that's my opinion after last night's performance. The thing I like about Mac Jones is, man, he looks like a smart thrower. That's the way it seems like. But look at Alabama's offensive line, man. I know a lot of people saying, Alabama quarterbacks don't do nothing in the NFL. Joe Namath went to Alabama, but none of us were alive back then. In my opinion, I do not see us picking a quarterback in the first round. I really don't. I say either we're going to focus on the offensive line or get a corner or a safety or something like that. That's my opinion. Give me your thoughts on that. And always remember, keep pounding.
Thanks,
Keep
G,
pounding.
for the call.
Keep pounding, man.
I love G, but I'll pass on that one all day, bro.
Based on what? Hold on.
Based on I can make
best quarterback is Trevor Lawrence, right? Oh, I can't wait to compare stats right here.
Oh, dude. Listen. That's where the trick is, Greg. Because you're gonna look up his stats, and let me tell you, Alabama, he has the cleanest pocket to throw from on almost.
You're making caveats now. You're making caveats, dude. So what? So Dak Prescott has the same thing.
He does play on a pro team. He plays on a pro team. He played on a pro team.
It doesn't have elite level arm talent.
So you're saying Clemson's team, every person on Clemson's team is not pro level ready.
What are we talking about Clemson?
about
I'm
this?
talking about Alabama.
We're comparing the two. That's why we're talking about it.
Okay, but listen, so here's the difference. People like, okay, Tony doesn't want to talk about Trey Lance because he's from North Dakota State. I would say that what Trey Lance does is far more impressive than what Matt Jones does because Trey Lance isn't throwing.
Matt Jones plays in the SEC, which is automatically 10 times harder than anything else, buddy. I'm sorry to tell you.
Okay, but here, let's put it this way.
You know, hands down, it's harder to play in the SEC.
Seriously, here, let's put it this way.
Anywhere else.
Let's not get into that debate. Let's get into just basically this. Is Matt Jones, whoever this guy is, basically playing Mac Jones, whoever he is on Alabama, is that, first of all, you don't have to be a great quarterback in Alabama. They surround you with so much talent. It's awesome. You have the best players in the entire college football.
Like
they
Clemson.
do have the
Just
best.
like
sure,
Clemson.
Okay. All right,
Just
that's fine.
say.
But here's the deal: is he a better prospect than Tua was? And I think the answer is no. And a lot of people say that, like, yeah, right. So that's what I'm saying is that when you start looking at him on a prospect basis, is that I'm not saying he can't play and this and that, but really you're probably talking about a guy that maybe you don't want to reach for. All right, third, fourth, some maybe, but I think first and second round is probably going to be a little high. And go back and look at all the damn Alabama quarterbacks. If you guys are worried about Justin Fields because he's coming out of Ohio State, I mean, like.
Yeah, and Tua, and listen, everyone was enamored with Tua last year. Everyone loved all of Tua's numbers.
Tua won a lot of games this year.
How about this? Jalen Hurts or Mac Jones?
Say again? Oh, Jalen Hurts or Mac? I'd probably say Jalen Hurts.
Okay. All right, next call. Let's go because we got plenty of time to talk about these guys. I just don't think. How about this? Let's not pick them at 8. Can we all agree that?
100%.
All right. Next call.
Yo, C3 fam, it's your boy Josh from Mass. Just calling in for the Tuesday nighter here. First and foremost, I want to congratulate Tony and his Buffalo Bills for advancing to the next round of the playoffs. Good on y'all. And man, wasn't it good watching the Steelers get thumped the way they did? I enjoyed that one. I enjoyed it a lot. And unfortunately, though, I'm brought to this weird point where I think I'm going to have to root for the goddamn Saints this weekend because although I hate them, hear me out.
Me too.
I hate them. I hate Tom Brady even more. And we all
That's the same way I am, buddy. I'm right there with you, man.
I hate this man.
Right there with you.
I hate his legacy. I lived in Massachusetts my whole life, so that's all I heard about is Tom Brady, Tom Brady, Tom Brady, Tom Brady.
I understand
now,
your hatred.
All these supposed Pats fans are a bunch of mother-loving two-teamers now, man, and there ain't nothing worse than a two-teamer. I mean, we let Tony get away with it because he's our guy. He runs the show, so he gets to root for the Panthers and the Bills. Carolina North connection. It is what it is. But
I was just early on the Bills shit.
I'm actually kind of happy that we haven't picked up a GM yet. I'm glad that we're interviewing what seems to be a pretty high number of candidates compared to other teams in the league. To me, it says, some due diligence is being done. My opinions on the draft, I mean, we all know what those are, I think, at this point. But I'd like to see us bring in a GM who's going to do some aggressive things. Maybe not necessarily this off season, because this is going to you either have to be really creative or it's a year to lay low and let things kind of, you draft what you draft and you fill up the roster however you fill up the roster. But this ain't going to be no year with no free agent splashes. I mean, as much as I'd love for us to make a move and get Deshaun Watson, man, I don't see it being possible because even if we traded for him, we don't have the cap space to make it all work. So.
Oh, you figure a way. Look at the Saints. They do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of where we're at, though. We're all kind of just looking onto the draft and looking at prospects and whatnot. And can I just say, it should be effervescently clear to everybody that Mac Jones is not an NFL starting quarterback. I'm sorry. He's got career backup written all over him.
2 hours ago.
Probably a good backup, but not. He ain't a starter. He ain't your man. And I'm out of time, and there ain't another one. Josh from Mass. Signing out.
Thanks for the support,
See,
Josh.
at least Josh, my man, can see a basic ass quarterback, man. That's who Matt Jones is. He's a big.
Okay. Real quick, while you're on that, Cody, I'm going to break your heart.
You're not going to break my heart.
No, listen. Listen, hold on. Let me tell you. Trevor Lawrence. I'm bringing the hammer out. Trevor Lawrence has had the offensive weapons that anybody in the NCAA has, hands down. He's had the choice of offensive weapons. He's had great wide receivers, great everything else. He's had guys to throw to, okay? Let's compare Trevor Lawrence stats this year to Mac Jones.
It's not comparable.
You're right. It's not comparable because Mac Jones blows him away. Blows him away. Listen. Mac Jones. No. Let me finish this here. Mac Jones, 77.4% completion percentage. Trevor Lawrence, let me see where he's at right here. Trevor Lawrence, 69.2. Mac Jones, 1 point. Mac Jones, 41 touchdowns. Trevor Lawrence, 24.
You missed 2 games, dude.
Okay, so 2 games are going to make up the difference from 24 to 41.
Touchdown.
He's going to score 19 touchdowns in 2 games.
Dude, hold on. No.
Hold on. I'm not done yet. Mac Jones, 4 interceptions. Trevor Lawrence played 3 less games, 5 interceptions. Okay? Mac Jones had a better year than your boy Trevor Lawrence did. Hands down, no doubt. It's right there in the stats.
Deal with it, Cody. Deal with it, Cody. You got
exactly. Deal with it. It's right there in the stats, dude. There's no argument about that.
Don't worry. People said that Teddy Bridgewater was great this year. 252-228-1598.
What's going on, C3 Nation? It's your boy Jay Anderson hitting y'all up. One thing I got to say is I'm glad glad the Panthers are taking their time to finding the GM. My thing is, hopefully that they don't search a Matt Rule guy.
Too late.
Hopefully, they'll search a guy, get a guy that's going to work with Matt Rule, but have his own say-so and stuff like that. Matt Rule just going to have to come to terms that, okay, you just a coach. He's saying that through the media, hey, I just want to be the coach. Okay, you better own up to that. You just a coach. Let the GM do his thing. Somehow I figure that, I don't know the real reason why Ed Dodds, withdraw his name, but somewhat I have a funny feeling that, he won't have control. He won't have full control of the GM spot. Matt Rule will insert himself into it. And I always thought that was a bad, there's a bad idea the way, I thought they should have got rid of her as soon as they got, rid of, not Matt Rule, but Ron Rivera. Just get a GM and then get your head coach. But I like Dolph Messy. I like Champ Kelly. I think Champ Kelly get a bad rap with the Mitchell Trubisky thing, but that's not on him. I think that's on Ryan Pace because he went out of his way to get Mitchell Trubisky and stuff like that. I think he went out of his way. I'm cool with the Peters guy, if he end up getting it. Just hopefully they get a GM that knows how to scout, has a team that know how to scout talent, and know how to, negotiate with free agency to come to the Carolinas and stuff like that. Just build just build depth with the roster and everything. Just hopefully get a GM that, that's all about that. And another thing. On this day, I don't know how old a lot of y'all are. I think Cody's probably the youngest one out of the group. But I know today is the day that, I think it was 24 years ago where the Panthers, for their second season, they went to the NFC Championship. Yeah, we lost that game, but that whole season was very memorable. Very
good call and good throwback reference to the Carolina Panthers in their second season going to Green Bay, right? Isn't that where they went for the NFC Championship? Lost to Brett Favre, I believe.
I think so.
All right, I want to guys. Before we go to the next call, I just sent you guys something in Twitter. All right.
I saw that earlier.
I'm gonna put it up. Is that sadly, Jay Anderson? I'm gonna do you worse. Is that I don't think you're. And this cat scratch reader killed this today. Is that lead candidate for Panthers GM Rat Mule? It's so funny, dude.
No relation to Matt Rule.
No relation. No relation. Some funny stuff going on at Cat Scratch Reader, man. All right, let's go to the next call.
Hey. You know who the fuck it is. It's G, baby. What's good, fellas? What's good?
What up?
Might I say, Joe Brady, you punk-ass white boy, G. You the whole-ass bitch, G. And I knew it from the fucking get-go. I hope you go to Atlanta, you punk-ass motherfucker. Fuck Joe Brady, bro. What the fuck did he do to... Bro, it's just blasphemy. White privilege at its fucking finest. And for, Cody, yes, I am black, bruh. I might not sound like I'm just well-educated, bruh. Oh, and I'm telling you right now, CK, if you don't follow me back on Instagram, brother, I'm done calling in, G. Panther Nation, if CK don't follow me back on Instagram, I'm done calling in.
Well, CK
Period.
better go follow.
So
him.
I must say, you guys, I'm a little
This
drunk.
call is great
I'm glad the season's over. But like I said, bro, Joe Brady, oh my God, you bitch. And I knew he was leaving. But for him to have the audacity to go to Atlanta, a rival, just shows me he didn't even give a fuck about the Carolina Panthers, bro. Are you kidding me? Like I said, white privilege at its finest, bro. But Eric Bieniemy can't even get a fucking interview, bro. He can't even get an interview, bro. And he's got a championship ring underneath his belt, and he's about to win another one, maybe. Like the brother can't even get an interview, bro. That's bullshit, man. But fucking Joe Brady, bro. A white boy that didn't do shit his first year as an offense coordinator. Fucking gets a head coaching job for Atlanta, most likely. Bro, come on, dog. 2021 is the world we live in, bro. It's just wow, bro. Eric Bieniemy, man. I'm sorry, dog.
Hey, I'm right there with you, man. That is my argument right there.
Bro, G Baby is a vibe, bro. G Baby is like a whole mood. It's
a vibe.
Fuck a rational thought. Dude, it's all energy, and dude, I'm about it, man. Hey, listen, we're all going to be saying fuck Joe Brady for a long time if it ends up going that way, where we never get to see his best years, and he just gets to go on to greener and better pastures, potentially in our own division. Like, that's a bad look, man.
G Baby.
I started the hashtag Screw Joe Brady.
Okay.
So,
well, guess what? It's going to get some traction later on. 252-228-5098.
What the fuck is going on? We need Watson. Let me hit you one more time. Watson.
I can agree with that. I'd trade for him.
Connect the North and the South, y'all. Make it happen. He's the black Trevor fucking Lawrence that we need, that we can't trade up for because we couldn't trade it if we wanted to.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Because I don't think Carolina got the balls to do Cody's little trade deal, which I'm actually kind of thinking would be kind of cool because if we had all day picks, then we would for sure be in the Super Bowl run within the motherfucking next year or two. That's all I really got to throw in there. Fuck Joe Brady. Keep it real. You know what I'm saying?
Fuck
We need
Joe
that
Brady.
compensatory
I have a
fucking,
following. I
third-round
love
pick
this.
for getting rid of
I
that
love
bitch-ass
this.
motherfucker.
Oh, I have a
Because that guy
following.
wants to fucking, you know what I'm saying, run the ball and show the same play he be doing fucking previously. That motherfucker, he's just too green. He's too green. You know, we need a better fucking offensive coordinator that we could pay whatever the fuck to, because we got the richest fucking football owner in the motherfucking league, all right, and it doesn't affect the cap hit. So we get the homie Deshaun Watson. We got all the weapons. We get a fucking, you know, all the things we need in the draft with the rest of our picks. And I see us in the Super Bowl within the next year, maybe two, if we need it that fucking long. If Deshaun Watson needs that long to get used to whatever new offensive coordinator he handpicks. And yeah, you know what I'm saying? Shout out fucking C3. I fucks with you, Tony. I fuck with you, Cody, even though we be beefing on the Hurney situation, but he's gone now, and we gonna get whatever the best motherfucker is. If y'all need some tree, I'm over here in the motherfucking West. Holla at your boy. Hit me up on Instagram, even number Sipper, you feel me, with one N. Holla at your boy, man. Keep pounding from the West. We out here, Cali smoking up that baby. Watson.
Hell yeah! What a great call! I think that's
keep pounding, man. That is my guy right there. Oh,
all right. Here's he talked about Watson a little bit, right?
I could totally go with that.
Listen,
I would totally go with that.
Did you guys see that Christian McCaffrey is being accused by fans of tampering?
What? No.
So basically, Christian McCaffrey dropped a comment on Deshaun Watson's post on I guess Instagram, and it was literally just like this and the snowflake beside it, you know. And I don't know if it was saying I love snow or what. I don't know what it was supposed to mean, but people like were commenting, that's tampering, get out of his comments, he's not coming to Carolina, he's staying in Houston. So apparently it's like this entire comment thread thinking Christian McCaffrey's trying to recruit Deshaun Watson.
Hey, I just tweeted out hashtag screw Joe Brady, and I did all y'all. So anybody who wants to join in and start the hashtag
until he accepts the position.
Yeah,
I'll
adopt that once he's a Falcon.
Once he's a Falcon. Okay, you're right.
A lot of people are going to jump on your bandwagon, I feel. But
oh, absolutely. He's going to become enemy number one, I think, for most Panthers fans to come in here after one season and then leave
Atlanta,
and go to the Falcons.
I still just feel like I need to wait until I know he's not a Panther anymore.
I feel you, and that is
justified. Yeah, I want him to be great. And you know what? If he goes to AFC,
I'm just trying to buy that Bitcoin at $1 instead of $40,000.
Well, you know, it's a lot easier for Greg to flip on the coaches. He's never liked them from day one.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not flipping. He's just standing pat. I want to bring this up though, but you were talking about tampering. There is some added storyline to the Deshaun Watson stuff. It doesn't link him to Carolina by any means, right?
Yeah.
But it was either today or yesterday. Former legend and one of the greatest wide receivers in the history of the game, Andre Johnson, tweeted out that he thinks that Deshaun Watson should stand his ground on this. Because of their history of ruining players, their poor organization, ultimately suggesting. And the other thing is Deshaun Watson is a black quarterback. He's a black superstar. He did get paid by the Texans, but there has become first you have the racist owner. I don't know if he's still alive or not. He might have died, the Texans guy. I'm not sure. But their owner has had, you know, if Jerry Jones was touching feet, whoever the owner for the Houston Texans rolls with the Proud Boys, right?
Yeah.
And
you don't let the monkeys run the zoo or something like that. It was
it was awful. And then on top of that is that not only did and by the way, somebody pointed this out, is that Andre Johnson hasn't tweeted anything but Crown Royal ads, one guy said. So he obviously has some affiliation with Crown Royal. But, like, his only Twitter activity has been Crown Royal ads for, like, 4 years.
And then this.
And then this. And then, to add to it, guess who chimed in?
The one and only Hopkins.
DeAndre Hopkins. When Dre speaks, listen, he says. And just to point out a little thing is that would be cool, is that the caller mentioned the North-South connection, the history, right, of to Clemson. But one other thing is this team has tried to take a progressive stand on the kind of racial justice kind of conversation that has gone over. And I guess you would point to Eric Reed being an example of this team, you know. So it's not like it's not like you're trading out a racist owner for a racist owner. You're trading out a racist owner for just a billionaire dude with brass balls.
Let me ask you.
But the team that they've been connecting is the Dolphins.
I know, that's so weird.
Well, is it? It's not, though, because what essentially they're saying is that the Texans, the Dolphins rather, would ship over. They have a first round. They have 2 first rounders this year, and I think maybe next year too.
Yeah.
But they could give Houston the 3rd pick in the draft and send them to a Tagovailoa and
give back Houston the pick that they initially gave to him.
Yeah, and then and by the way, of course, Deshaun Watson wants it. Who doesn't want to fucking Miami?
Miami can do whatever they want, man. These dudes have more cash. They roll into the strip club.
State tax.
They roll into the strip club like
after 1 year.
Floyd Mayweather.
Who would you rather have, Deshaun Watson or Tua Tagovailoa?
I mean, I don't think that you can say Tua is a bust yet, right?
No, you can't. But you know that Deshaun Watson is not.
Would it be worth the what you'd be giving up? That's the thing. Like for us, it would be, because we don't have a quarterback at all. Like we don't.
I think for them it would be too. To be truly honest with you, I mean, you're not losing anything. You're losing Tua,
and you're losing whatever else.
You're Deshaun Watson, who you know is a good player.
The problem is it only makes sense for the Dolphins.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, it makes more sense for the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Well, they also have the assets. They
both
could
their
do
first
it.
rounders and a first rounder next year. I don't think the Houston Texans are going to take it. Like they're not going to take.
They already have to give up their first rounder this year.
The only problem is, and this is why this could really be an unprecedented situation in the NFL if Deshaun follows through with this. Because listen, Houston does not want to trade Deshaun Watson. Like I was saying earlier, you hope that in your lifetime you can attach your organization to the kind of player that Deshaun Watson is, right?
Right.
But if Deshaun says, "No, I'm not playing. Like I don't want to be here. I want to be traded." Now the CBA has now made it increasingly harder to do so because the kind of fines that you're going to take on are just going to be astronomical.
Well, you give up your check. You give up your check. It's just simple. You give up your game checks, bro.
But if Houston said, all right, whatever, we don't want the headache and we want to, get past this, Deshaun might be able to force their hand into doing this. And I don't think
the Dolphins have the assets to do it. They have to, they have an opportunity to get a top quarterback in this draft too. Mm-hmm. They can, they could trade, think about it, they could trade Tua and multiple firsts and still come out without any of the long-term kind of
the pieces that I mean they have the cap space for him. They would be trading for his contract, so obviously that takes a good chunk of that cap away. They're giving away all the pieces to be able to build. No,
he just signed a
I'm talking about Deshaun Watson. Like Miami would be taking on that contract, and so I mean that obviously eats a little bit into it. But they have an opportunity this year, the Miami Dolphins, with two really good first round picks, to be able to build something around Tua. And if they give all that up, they risk continually going back down. I mean, why would Watson want to come over there if they're not actually going to be building the wall around him like the Texans have failed to do his entire career?
They still can do it though. They still have the assets. They're like the Jaguars, man. They got enough they could throw around. They're Floyd Mayweather in the strip club. Shout out to QT0 in that call for that call right there. QT's in the chat room. Great call. My favorite call of the night. G baby, You're always in my. You're always the apple of my eye too. Code Dizzle, you better follow that mug because we better not lose that call. All right, let's go to the next call.
What it do, C3?
What
It's
it
your
do?
boy Mike, a.k.a. Supreme Lita.
Supreme Lita.
Hope you guys are having another fantastic week so far. Boys, let me tell you about this freaking nightmare that I had a few days ago, alright? So,
Tell me about it.
Envision. Alright, I'm at the draft. I don't know how I got there, but I'm at the NFL draft for this year. And I'm standing next to Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields. And for some reason, they're both dressed up in full gear, except for their helmet. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking about, but we somehow traded up to the first pick of the draft. And with the first pick, we don't take Trevor Lawrence, all right? Because when they announce the pick, for some reason, the sound in my dream goes out, and I don't know what the fuck's going on. And then I see big old field goal gap tooth Michael Strahan walk out of nowhere, and come to find out, he's our general manager. I started freaking out.
Okay.
I see him standing with this guy that's like 5 inches shorter than him, and turns out we didn't skip Trevor Lawrence to get Justin Fields. We skipped him to draft the defensive end with the number 1 pick. I don't even know who the fuck this guy is. He's 5 inches shorter than Michael Strahan. I'm freaking fuck out, and I wake up.
What a dream!
Oh my god!
Thank
Worst
goodness
dream
you
ever,
woke up.
guys. So
It's like Cam Newton and Joe Brady.
Yeah.
That's a Clarice down the hallway dream.
About the Deshaun Watson stuff, he would be the best retread quarterback I'd want. I just feel like we'd have to give up too much, like a first round this year, second round next year, first round next year after, and all this other shit. And
yeah,
if we could get rid of Teddy like that, that'd be dope, but it's not going to happen. I'm pulling for the
Cody
Bills
will
to
give
win
away like 10
the
years
Super
of draft.
Bowl. I really appreciate Josh Allen and what he's done, showing
I
that
agree.
he should have been drafted higher, kind of like with Big Ben and Aaron Rodgers when they were drafted after Alex Smith. And all those old Panther players. I'm pulling for them, man. Real quick, I'm going to ice up this guy on Facebook. He said we should take Najee Harris with our first pick of the draft. Bro. Go home.
Hey.
Was that
That's that running back, right?
That is the running back.
Yeah. Hey, look, I'm not gonna lie, man. You take Najee Harris on a rookie contract, first round pick, and then trade Christian McCaffrey away for a top 10 first round pick. That's not a bad idea. I thought about that today. That's actually not a bad idea. Najee Harris is insane.
Not with the first round, not with the 8th pick. That's terrible.
Well, that's actually just a lateral move in so many ways. Because guess who was picked at 8?
It's lateral,
guess
but it
who
gives
was
us.
picked
Yeah, I
at
guess
8?
it's lateral. Yeah.
Damn, Christian McCaffrey. Right. So hey,
I take that back. I love Christian McCaffrey. I take it back.
Next,
sorry.
call.
Yep.
Hey, this is Tits McGee from Charleston. I just want to ask Cody a question. Like, if Joe Brady leaves, who would you want to replace as our offensive coordinator? Yeah, 'cause I think he's gone. And, also I want to know what y'all thoughts on maybe not drafting a quarterback in round 1, maybe Kellen Mond from Texas A&M, I think. Yeah. He's always looked really good to me. I think he's fucking awesome. But, yeah. Cool.
All right. Thanks for the call, man. Charleston, South Carolina. I love that city. My best friend Joe Riolana lives there.
Me too. I lived there 2 years. Love it.
When it comes to offensive coordinator, I feel like that's right now is that first up. I think it's a great question. I think it's a hard question to even posit at this moment. But they fired the Seahawks offensive coordinator, Schottenheimer.
And the good news is that was basically off of a difference of opinion on where the organization should go. So
Pete Carroll wants to run the ball. He wants to throw the ball a billion times.
Yeah.
But apparently, I don't know. I mean, listen, it's hard to know right now because, Joe Brady is still our offensive coordinator. And until further notice, I mean, I don't know. I mean, if I were to just throw out a name, again, I really don't even know who's plausible for us, but I would say maybe Pep Hamilton, the guy that was the offensive coordinator for the Chargers this year. The Chargers offense was fine. It was their situational coaching that really kind of hurt them. But you saw what they could do with the quarterback and the personnel and the receivers. Like, they were able to make stuff happen. I wouldn't mind Pep Hamilton. But as of right now, that's the only name that I can really, off the top of my head, think of. Like, right now, it's just kind of abstract. It's in the distance, Like, we have to wait until we can find out what Joe Brady's future is, if it's going to be with us or not, and then see who's available.
Do you think we can convince Brady to stay as an offensive coordinator if we tell him we're going to be making moves to try to get Watson?
I mean,
not if he's offered a head coach job. Nope.
Yeah,
I don't think it's anything. I think he gets his stock is about as hot as it can get. Like, it almost.
I don't think it's as hot as it can get.
Well, is that the thing is that a season like this season next year for the Carolina Panthers with the similar outcomes, unless that offense is just like ridiculously awesome, and the rest of there's problems everywhere else. Like, his stock it's gonna be, the only way it can just go higher is like you have to have a sensational performance. And to be honest, the tools that you have at the moment don't make that but so plausible, right? And so here's the thing is that if Joe Brady's offered the job anywhere, I think he's got to take it. On top of that, QT0 says ROC is whoever Deshaun Watson wants it to be. And also adding to the problems growing in Houston is the fact that they drug their heels on interviewing Eric Bieniemy. And that's somebody that Watson's been vocally support, right? Is they didn't include Watson. Watson already said he's upset that they didn't include him on asking about the GM. And then they now they give like a pity interview to Eric Bieniemy at the end. I don't know.
They're pretty pathetic right now. So if you don't know the story behind that, they had a firm that was supposed to find them a general manager, and they interviewed all these people, and then here comes this Jack Esterby asshole. He was literally, you can't make this up. He was a former chaplain for the Patriots. Yeah, you heard me right. He was a former chaplain for the Patriots. Now he's like in a position of importance for the Texans. And now he's like calling shots and making last minute changes. It's really, really dumb.
Yeah, and you know what? And Andre Johnson's not wrong. Is that this isn't new? No. This is not new. Yeah. It's been just 2 decades of crap there. Ever since the beginning with it started to fall apart once Carr got sacked out of his mind, right? He got 70 sacks that year, and all that.
I love that, sacked out of his mind.
He did. Like, he pees
you're right.
his pants
You're right.
when he sees fat people now. And I'm telling you, dude, he was sacked 73 times in a season or something like that.
Insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
And he was a good player, and him and Andre Johnson were killing it together right off the bat. And it's just been a disaster ever since. All right, next call.
Hey, guys, this is Dolphin. It's probably my 3rd or 4th time calling.
Thanks, man.
Really enjoying the community you guys are building here. It's been really good. I just kind of want to get my thoughts on the GM search and who I want to see us bring in. There's a guy, Jeff Ireland's a guy from the Saints. He's a Parcells guy.
Cody.
He's a gritty guy. Kind of a little Matt Rule connection. I think he went to Baylor. He had some struggles there, man, with the Tannehill situation, but I think with that 2017 New Orleans draft class, you got, I think Anzalone was in there, Marshawn Lattimore, Marcus Williams, Trey Hendrickson, a 6th-round pick. Incredible. If we're looking at building for the draft, he's a guy that I think is very good. And that, he's had a few mistakes, but I think that he's kind of got that second chance as a GM, and has kind of proved some people wrong. Another guy is that I believe his name's Shane. Shane. I know that there was a list today that said that they narrowed down to 3, but these were 2 guys I was looking at. And the Shane guy under Brandon Bean, he talks nothing but great about him. Talks about how his scouting ability and stuff like that. I think his name's Pete Scan. I believe that's his name. I might be saying that wrong. You guys, I'm sure, can correct me. But those are two guys I would want to see brought in. And I think Peter's another guy that looked pretty good. I read up on him as well. I'm excited to kind of see who we bring in here. But I want to get you guys' thoughts on just a few things here. You guys feel, the Matt Rule hire was about a year ago, and you guys feel better, worse, or about the same as you did a year ago about Matt Rule? Personally, I feel better. I'll let you guys dive into that a little more. And another thing, this is another thing that I was thinking about the other day, and I was want to get you guys' thoughts on. As much as we all love Joe Brady, right? Do we want to see him be here next year, and then after next year, which I'm guessing, it'll be, if he doesn't get a job this year, which I think he will, it'll be next year. And we're already bringing a new GM, so I feel like bringing in a coordinator now wouldn't be the worst thing to do. And we pretty much lost our whole offensive staff. Jay Peets is gone, DJ Mangus, Marcus Satterfield went to South Carolina, so we're losing a lot of guys. Would y'all like to see a coordinator brought in this year? As much as we do love, I love Joe Brady did a really good job this year with a really predictable and conservative quarterback that didn't do a very good job elevating his talent. On the field. Do we want to see another guy? Do we want to see another guy brought in this year with the GM? These are just kind of some things I was thinking about. I really enjoy the podcast, guys. I hope you guys have a good night, and I enjoy listening to calls because it's a real Panthers family in this community, and I enjoy it. So keep down.
Man, what a great call, dude! And I appreciate your support and your call. I thought you brought a ton of good points up about the GM search. A lot of things Cody has been trumpeting about Jeff Ireland. The problem is that some of those names that we're looking at didn't get the second interview, right? And so that we think that they're starting to target some different guys. The other thing I wanted, and it's related to this, I reached out while we've been doing the show, so I can say per source right here, per source. That I have my own inside sources here. And I just asked a guy who's been on the show before, Dan Hatman, who is he's the director of scouting development for the Scout Academy. So basically he created a college for people who are interested in going into scouting and getting into this line of work. He formerly worked with the Eagles, Jets, and Giants. He came on last year. Do you remember when we talked with him, guys, and he was talking about the timing of a GM position and stuff? And
I remember. Yeah. I remember.
So I asked him.
Content.
Yeah, I tweeted him, and I asked him, I said, any thoughts on how Carolina's been working through their GM search or on Peters or Ossenfort? And he responded just a few minutes ago, and I'm sad that Dave Hino is not in the chat room still. He said this is a direct tweet. Clearly a robust mission to understand the field at large, get external assessments of their roster/operations, and to see what ideas they can generate. All of that should serve whoever they hire well. So what I think is Dan Hatman supported Dave assessment in the chat room and some of the things that you guys brought up on this podcast about learning about other operations, learning the fields, and then even bringing that material and giving it to the person that they actually do hire. So really interesting developments there. And I think what was the other? Was there any other question? Oh, offensive coordinator. This is the ultimate. Do you if you know you're kind of dating a girl that's hotter than you, do you kind of break up with her before she can break up with you type thing, or do you just really try to ride it as long? And that's really an analogy. You really try to ride her as long as you can.
Ride it as long as you can, bro.
I think
right there.
I will say this is that I think that, look, there's no reason we should desire Joe Brady to leave, right? If he ultimately is going to leave, maybe sooner than later would help us, just because we're not really in a position for our offense to seemingly take a giant leap unless we get that quarterback. But I do have the final issue I do have is I don't think that if Joe Brady doesn't leave this year, I don't think that it is destined that he will leave the following year. And what I will point to you is this: is why is Greg Roman's name not a top candidate right now for one of these coaching jobs? I haven't heard his name for any, but
too. Yeah, I agree. Greg Roman, Eric Bieniemy, man. Well, why not?
So that's why I think he should take the job. Strike when the iron is hot, bro. If I'm Joe Brady, that's kind of my thing. Oh, Dave is in the dang chat room. I thought he was. Oh, nice. That's awesome. Yeah. So Dave, your comments were completely supported by somebody who has worked entirely within several pro football organizations. Great thoughts, guys, and to kind of continue to support the caller. That's the community, baby. That's the community. Next call.
And another thing, CK, this is G, baby. I sent you my Warzone account too, bro. I get down on the Warzone too, G. I got like 75 wins on the Warzone. So what's happening, G? We can both get down and murk some motherfuckers, bro. That's all we do around here. Now back to and another thing, Cody, you my brother, G. But don't you say a damn thing about Zach Wilson saying he wants to fucking coach Joe Brady, because now that's out of the books. Now Zach Wilson has the possibility to go to Atlanta. Like, bro, this is just so cheesy, bro. Like, dude, that's what I'm saying, bro. This organization is some punk-ass bitches, bro. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. But we turn around, release Cam Newton, our franchise QB, and sign Teddy Bridgewater to a 3-year, $60 million fucking deal? Are you fucking kidding me? These punk-ass niggas is fucking destroying this franchise, man. And then we want to bring in Dwayne Haskins? Are you fucking joking me? Are you joking me?
Preach.
We just whipped this man's ass, got him fired, and now we want to bring him in? Oh, my God. It pisses me off, man. You guys, you already know who the fuck this is. I got a lot on my mind, so I might be calling back. Hey, we sparking up over here, too. We smoking that good shit. Hey, everyone have a good night. Peace.
All right, I think this is the next part.
Hey, it's me again. I really want to take a look at ownership. Panther Nation, I don't know if you guys knew, but David Tepper, as the owner of the Carolina Panthers, is 17-31.
Horrible.
That's his record. I'm going to repeat that again for all you motherfuckers that have been just caring for David Tepper and Matt Rule. Let's not even, this is Matt Rule's first season. I still don't think he's going to get it done. But David Tepper, as the owner of the Carolina Panthers, is 17-31. David Tepper, you're mediocrity, bitch. You're mediocrity. You ruined this fucking franchise. You had Eric Bieniemy wanting to come to Carolina as a head coach, wanting to coach Cam Newton. That was your chance to turn shit around, and you blew it. You're worth $12 billion, you bitch. You fuck-ass motherfucker. The fuck you talking about? 17-31, motherfucker. Get the fuck out of Carolina. 17-31, Carolina Panthers. This is what you've been cheering for. I'm out.
Sorry for this.
If I could drop my mic, I would.
Sorry for the
Just for
different
him.
levels and the
That
phone
is-
calls, folks. Is some people their calls are low, some people are louder, and then I compensate, and then I forget to compensate, stuff like that. I guess if Teddy Bridgewater is the knock on Joe Brady, this is the meanest thing. I gotta say I think David Tepper, for having the most money in the world, I think his wife is like Teddy Bridgewater. She's just all right. It's so messed up.
Now I got thanks, man. Now I got to look up David Tepper's wife.
And it's his new wife too. It's not even like his old wife. Never mind.
How many calls we got left on the docket?
Two.
All
right.
Let's fucking smash these some bitches.
I'm trying.
I like Jake Button that came out live. Hey guys,
Was that it?
it's Joey.
No, it's Joey.
Oh God. Boy, now I finally got an analogy for Teddy. The Capitol Police. Anyway, you know what I mean. They fumble the ball like Teddy, like Teddy throwing interceptions in the end zone and fumbling the ball. That's what the Capitol Police did. And by the way, ice up to all those fucking idiots involved in that bullshit. But, and Trump too. Trump fucked himself bad. But anyway, guys, yeah, man, I'm just really happy to talk about the Panthers with you guys, and I just wanted to say, yeah, you're right. Literally, the most fun part of Sunday when the Panthers would play is coming here for 2 or 3 hours and bitching and moaning about how bad Teddy played and how me and Cody would make better quarterbacks despite me not being able to see the field and Cody not being mobile at all. But anyway, I really have nothing, football-wise to talk about, except I hope we get the right GM. I really hope Joe Brady doesn't go, but I don't think that our hopes are going to be met because, everybody likes Joe Brady. Joe Brady's the hot shot. And anyway, it's like Matt Rule was for years. Now Joe Brady's the hot shot. And he must be real good, which is a shame. Of course, that's the Panthers, but having Teddy Pisswater as his quarterback, and he still impressed people. Anyway, guys. Wow.
He's drawing it out longer and longer. I like
Yeah, he is, and it's great too.
But by the way, I'm not totally immobile, dude. I got a little bit of Hey, I'm more mobile than Matt Jones. How about that? And then number 2, I saw the picture that Tony dropped in our Twitter messages, and I'm just saying, dude, I'm not kicking David Tepper's wife out of bed. I'm just, if I wake up and she's sitting there chilling, whatever, man. I might have a good morning. That's all.
Oh, she's getting it.
I'm saying.
No.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
just
bro.
saying, if I had $13 billion, I had just divorced my wife, bought a football team. I don't know. I mean, you never know. I mean, hey, look, as you can find beautiful and smart together, it's there. It's there. I'm just saying, look, as long as I think my wife is older than her.
I'm happy for her. She's not ugly though. This chick is not.
I said
beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and there is beauty in every different kind of person.
Sure.
That is all there is to it.
How about this? Is for somebody for y'all fools that fawned over Caroline Can hotter than her.
She was a tall drink of water, that Caroline Can.
All right. Last call.
What happens when it's time to get a COVID vaccine and you're like ripped, you're jacked, and your muscles are so hard they can't get it in?
I have that problem all the time, dude.
What in the world is that about? All right.
I have it all the time.
Look, I think we've gone through much of what I wanted to talk about. We'll have plenty more to talk about in the future. It's the C3 Panthers podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. The number's 252-228-5098. Love for you to smash that thumbs up button. Also, subscribe to the podcast if you're not a subscriber on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you get your dang podcasts at, and on YouTube. We're only like 10 people away from hitting 1,800. What would be great is if next week we came back and we were at 2,000. But that's not going to happen. I'll take 10 subscribers this week.
Yeah.
My Twitter handle is @cat_chronicles, and I'm ready to ice some fools up. I'll go first. My ice up pick I have been everybody. This is our homage to Steve Smith, where everybody is fair game, from 8-year-olds in Oklahoma to David Tepper to myself. And tonight I've iced myself up several times in the past, and once again I'm icing myself up. It's been an expensive holiday for myself. Broke my thumb, had surgery. I'm already 2 in the hole from that. Had 5 trees taken out of my yard. Dang, 3,500. Got a great deal on that mess still. But still, out on that. My foot, man, I had this plantar fasciitis flared up. It's so bad. I'm probably gonna have to go to the doctor. I'm just scared to have my hand in a splint and be in a boot. Like I'm like putting it on. I'm not gonna do it. I'm just gonna muscle through. But on top of that, some real crappy shit has happened to me today, and it's not really. It's like this. I'm not begging. I don't want no money. It's just this. It sucks. I'm a cheap ass. That's my problem. That's why it annoys me. Somehow I've lost a brand new computer, laptop in a box. Lost, stolen, thrown out, donated. It's gone with the Christmas. It's gone. I swore it was in my office. All right? Like my home office. And that computer didn't belong to me. It belonged to my job. Now, I'm not really worried about this, that. But then I have this other laptop that's important for my work because it links up to my crap at work, and I only use it when I have to do one thing, and that's use this one program that you have to be on campus to use. So I've had this, and that's why I haven't been worried about that laptop, right? Like I was like, because I got this other one, and I can do what I need. And I got my own desktop and computer. Tonight, it's putting up the green screen. Something fell off a shelf and landed on top of it, broke the damn screen, bro. And the damn thing was closed. So I'm icing myself up because I'm going to probably have to shell out all this damn money for computers. I don't even get them. And they ain't even mine. So anyway, wham, Tony. I got a great life. Everything's all right, though, overall. I do have as many injuries as Cam, which has been crazy because I've been so physically healthy, too, for so long. So this is like I'm approaching 40 and falling apart. I am like an aged quarterback at this point. All right, who else has got? So ice up Tony. Who else has got a ice up pick for me?
Yeah, I'm gonna go next, and then I'm gonna just bounce on out of here. But I wanted to ice up the Las Vegas Raiders because they just put today that they hired Gus Bradley to be their offensive coordinator. But the social media team on their website, they put up a picture of Ken Wisenhunt. And said, we've hired Gus Bradley to be our new offensive coordinator, and they got the wrong fucking guy. Like, dude, it's so dumb, especially when earlier, like, dude, on Monday Night Football, I think it was, John Gruden had the Oakland Raiders hat instead of the Las Vegas Raiders. Like, they keep on doing all this.
They
dumb
also
shit.
just put out a giant settlement to cheerleaders that they lost a lawsuit for basically slave labor, like for not paying minimum wage to the cheerleaders.
I thought that was the Redskins. It's probably every football team, probably. But no, I just think that's super stupid and really funny, and that's what ice up picks are made for. So to the Las Vegas Raiders and their social media team, ice up, son. And you can find me on Twitter at Cody Lack, CODYLAC. There's a brand new mock draft on Draft Tech tomorrow. I'm taking a new player that I have not written about yet recently, so check that out. And that's it for me, gentlemen. I'm gonna go ahead and bounce out of here.
All right.
Appreciate
it.
Cody, have a good one, buddy.
All right,
Hey,
who's next?
I have one, and this might be a bit. Some people might have difference of opinion from me. Everybody here knows that I'm not a fan of Trump, but I'm gonna ice up Twitter, Facebook, everybody who has basically canceled Trump's voice. Right, regardless of what he was saying, I think you're setting a dangerous precedent when you start allowing other people's voice to be heard and somebody who you don't agree with what he's saying's voice to be heard. Now, you may say he was inciting violence, he was doing this, doing that, whatever. You can say that, but you can also, when you start putting that, like, we're canceling this because he was inciting violence, there is no real connection you can put to him inciting violence. And quite honestly, the reality is when you start doing that, you're setting this, you're weakening the bounds of free speech, right? And now all of a sudden, the next person who decides to say something that you think is not something you agree with, it's a lot easier for you to ban them. I think they did it the right way. If you're going to have to do it, you waited until after the election. You waited till everything was finalized with the election. And then you were able to do it because now it's, not like you're silencing the one. You would make him a martyr in that case. But I'm going to ice up social media for believing they have the power to dictate what's being said over top of other, people's voices. And I think that's a dangerous precedent. And honestly, it's a pathway to a dangerous place in our society.
There's an irony to all of this, CK. And first, I haven't decided how I feel about this. Right? Is that but I tend to lean a little bit towards you on this, because I think this is that first is Twitter does and Facebook, they put you in these Twitter jails indiscriminately at times, right? So they do. I do think they should have that ability because they are private companies.
Yeah.
In some ways, but there are lines that you're not supposed to cross in that. So like the Constitution doesn't protect our free speech everywhere, right? It actually just limits Congress from making laws about it. But I do think is that I'm not I don't think look, is Trump classless? Yes. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I mean, like all this, I do agree that like with you is that it's like, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of other really terrible examples of shit on the internet that aren't censored. That aren't censored. Yeah, like that nobody gives a crap about. And now he is a big. It is them striking back at him, though. You know what? Yeah. He's giving Twitter and all these people shit. So they're fighting. You know, now that he's out and they don't have to worry about him no more, they can fire shy at him. The irony, I think, in all of this is, number one, is that people saying you can't, like kick them out of. He can't kick him out of Twitter. But those same people want the baker to not bake the cake for the gay wedding.
Yeah.
So there's an irony. And then the other irony is have you heard about the guys that all the, whether you want to call them terrorists, protesters, whatever the shit that happened the other day, and the Capitol building. And now they're getting, originally they were only going to be charged with trespassing. They could only be charged with trespassing on government property and maybe vandalism or some very small stuff, right? Like by law, like they really, like what they did was, now maybe that is more than just a misdemeanor because it's government property. But do you remember when the protests were occurring and they were tearing down the statues? And stuff like this, right? But what they did is Trump signed an executive order that made those actions far more
punitive,
punitive. Yeah, exactly. So it is, if these people get punished to the fullest extent of the law, it will be because of the law that Trump had. Like it's just the irony and all of this shit is wonderful. And guess what, America? This is who we are. Sadly. Sadly. You know what I'm saying? Y'all voted him in the first place. You voted him out in the second place. You gotta like, all of this is a mess because we don't really care about ourselves that much. And we don't vote people.
No. We only care about ourselves. That's the problem. A lot of us.
When I say we don't care about ourselves enough, we don't care enough about ourselves to put people to respect teachers, to respect and I'm not saying I want your respect or respect
politics. We care about ourselves. We don't care about those people.
We put B-ass players, C-ass players. We start Teddy Bridgewater at president. That's what we do. Yeah. It's just like we don't pick our best because we don't care enough.
But
we care about ourselves. Like you said, we're so inward focused, we don't really give a shit. And we let these idiots in great places of influence. And then we also talk about shit that we don't know anything about as Americans all the time.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. But my ice up is basically for the fact that, I'll clarify, is not for the fact that he was banned, but it's for the fact that that we still have Twitter. So our society has changed completely, right? It used to be we could base our judgments of people's political histories based solely on what they did in office, and what the newspapers told us, and what we were able to watch on the news. The reality is people don't watch the news. People don't read newspapers. They get their opinion based on what they see on social media. Yeah. And right now, Trump and in this instance, he has no voice. He has no voice. And I'm not saying his voice was valuable to me in any way whatsoever, but it's a dangerous situation when you give everyone else that is his opponents a bigger voice than he does, because that's a sense of responsibility. It's kind of like news organizations are supposed to be unbiased. That's kind of the initial thought, right? And if all of a sudden you've taken away one side completely and let the other side rule, well, now you have MSNBC and Fox News, right?
Yeah,
and
and CNN, and then you got these shell of news agencies everywhere else, because we don't want to read past the headline, and we don't want to read a real story, and we don't really care about the truth. We just care about what really gets us riled up. But don't feel too sorry about this, because you know what Trump's going to do is he's going to
call a press conference every 15 minutes.
Oh, and he's going to when he leaves, bro, he's going to start his own Twitter company, like his own social media company, and then he's going to start his own news organization. He's already going to go after Fox News. Now he's pissed, and he's going to be, and you know what, is those 89 million people will subscribe to that app and give and basically make him money, because whatever. Anyway, Greg, you got one for us?
I do. And it's kind of ironic too, or not ironic, it's not the right word to use for it, but just kind of weird, because you iced yourself up. I'm icing myself up too this week. I like to think of myself as a superhero. I feel like that I have that mindset. I like to try to do everything I can, the best that I can, everything I do, and really help people out. Just this week, it's just been so weird. You know, I've always had the mindset in my life that evil wins when good men do nothing. So I've always tried to do something. I've tried to do one good deed a day at least, you know, tried to accomplish one goal a day. And just the other day, man, just a bad Monday, just a bad day at work, just a bad day at home, just everything else all compiled. And I kind of folded, and I felt like I'm just done doing this, you know, not giving up on life, but I just had that moment where I was like, okay, like this is it. You know, I want to be alone. And I'm icing myself up for doing that, because that's not what heroes do. And it's not what men do. So I want to stay out there, accomplish one goal a day, accomplish, you know, do one good deed a day, do something like that. It'll help you out in the long run. I'm just icing myself up for kind of wavering in that opinion, because that's kind of been my thing for life, is to get through days doing that kind of stuff, and it helps you feel a whole lot better. And I wavered. So I'm icing myself up.
Greg, former military he's a veteran and a civil servant, right? And on top of that,
postal boy.
Yeah. Why don't you also just say this is like, hey, even Superman got mad from time to time.
Right. Yeah.
Right. You don't gotta go take your laser eye beams and kill everybody. Nah. And do you want to make up for it, Greg? Just start another podcast. Double down.
Yeah.
Right. All right. That's the C3 Panthers podcast. You can follow Codizzle_Allen on Facebook Gaming, right?
You can. I have a new link tree that I could tweet out from time to time that'll allow you to see click on it, and you can get all my socials from there.
All right. Well, you folks do that. It sounds like G Baby's already slid up in your DMs. Greg, they can find you where?
At the BatDaddy52 on Twitter. That's my personal handle, and you can find all my shows minus this one on the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network at GUA Podcast Network on Twitter. Check me out. Anywhere you find a podcast at, you can find us.
At cat_ Tony Dunn here, 252-228-5098. Right now, guys, I'm watching Lupin on Netflix. It's a French kind of Catch Me If You Can type show. Very good. And I started, Greg, today, and I'm stealing it because I don't have Apple TV. C, which is speaking of SEE, which, by the way, is starring
with Jason Momoa.
Yeah. And I gotta say this is I'm interested in it, but very odd start. I just can't understand a human race that can't see. No one that can't see. They fight a blind battle.
I mean, if it's all you know,
all of a sudden, they're like velociraptor, like a dinosaur that can't see, and everybody's like, so it's just hard. Yeah, go ahead.
Do they Does he have a female lady that looks really good, or is she ugly because they can't really see each other?
We don't know. I've only watched the first 20 minutes of the first episode. I will say this: he does have this very badass antler Wolverine arm thing, where it's like a wrist thing, where it's like his whole arm is like deer antlers that he uses to shove.
Right.
So it's pretty. So I'm getting past that, but I just got to see. Obviously, this lady's about to have two, but she just had babies in the beginning, and those babies are going to be able to see. That's my guess. Is that these babies are going to have vision, but it's just strange. Human race could survive for 200 years being blind. That's a.
But if it's all you knew, then that'd be different. Okay, so two things. If you're going to bring up movies at the end and stuff to watch, I do want to watch C, but I don't have Apple TV. So
Cinema free
I
HD, cinema free.
If you want, I know, I know Cinema HD. I got that. If you want to watch a funny movie, watch Coffee and Cream on Netflix. Pretty funny. Ed Harris.
My wife likes the comedy, so we'll definitely check that out.
Pretty funny. And then if you want to watch a really good show and you have HBO Max, check out his Dark Materials.
All right.
James McAvoy, Daphne.
Does James McAvoy have a bigger role than the first episode? Because I got into like 3 episodes, he was just disappeared.
I've only gotten to 3 episodes myself, so I couldn't tell you. But it's very good through 3 episodes.
Dark Materials.
It's Lord of the Rings meets Harry Potter, right? Would you say it's pretty?
I don't know if you know this, but it's actually direct. It's a direct connection to the Golden Compass.
Okay. Yeah.
What's the Golden Compass?
Very, very good show. Check it out.
It's basically the arrival to Narnia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly.
Cool.
Did you want me to ask this question? Make this a see if people wanted to answer it at the end here.
What is it? Sorry, I missed it. Well, yeah.
I didn't give you the question. I just said that I had one.
No, I ask it.
So we can make this a part of the show. So I want fans and you guys to think about it and entertain this question next week. If we are the number 8 pick and we have Patrick Surtain or Trey Lance available, who are you taking?
Oh, you know what? I need to look at Trey Lance. We'll talk. We'll bring it up in next week's show. I need to look at both of these guys. But is Surtain
Everybody
from?
Call in and give us your answer.
Surtain's from Alabama. He's the cornerback from Alabama. He's legit. Like he's a good guy.
How would you put him in the category against Detroit's cornerback? I can't remember his name, but he was like the number 1 cornerback. No. I don't know. He was the number 1 cornerback taken last year.
I don't know. I have to look at it, but that's my question for next week. So I'm going to pose a question at the end of every show next week. So that's my question for next week. Trey Lance or Patrick Surtain. So
a lot of people chiming in on the videos real quick. Someone said a lot of people are into this Dark Materials already.
Cobra Kai,
Cobra Kai.
That's really good.
Cobra Kai is amazing. I'm not gonna lie. I can't stop watching it when my wife turns it on.
Yeah, but my wife is mad that I've watched it without her. So I have to find these shows that my wife would be moderately interested in, but isn't interested in
Living
enough.
with Yourself. I'm telling you, you'll love it. You'll love it. 30-minute
But I
episodes,
like
dude.
shows I watch on my own. So I'm interested in this Dark Materials, this C, some other stuff.